80s. I had to do it. I am the vivacious, vicious Vicky. Welcome to Monday Night Virtual. As you can see, the gentleman to my left is none other than Val Venis, guys. We are here, we are live, and I have to just say something really quick. I am so sorry that I did not grace you with my presence last Monday night, but I'm here now with the man of the hour.
Shame on you. You should have been here last Monday night.
I had some personal things to attend to, but I'm here. We are live. Val Venis, thank you so much for being here. I am extremely, extremely excited tonight. Welcome to New Jersey.
Well, thank you. And if we're going to kick it off, we got to kick it off this way, the only way the big Val Boski knows how. Hello, 80s wrestling.
Well, you do have a lady here, so can I hear the original? Come on, give it to me.
Hello, ladies.
Yes. Guys, this is amazing. As you all know, we are 80s wrestling based. We've been branching out, doing more so. Monday Night Virtual tonight. I have to say, growing up, my era was indeed the Attitude Era. So to
Best
have
era ever in professional wrestling, hands down.
Was larger than life characters. I mean, you can never compete. I've been a wrestling fan as well as a performer, and I will say there is absolutely nothing that competes with that era. There's nothing.
That era was envelope pushing.
Yeah.
It was something where it forced human beings to want to go watch WWE programming.
That's right.
The next Monday night, something they just couldn't miss. Yes. And there was always that cliffhanger at the end of every show.
Always.
You know, every match, really. Every
Always.
match had a story.
Always.
Every match had a cliffhanger. You had to be there the next Monday night. You just had to be. There was just that magnetic draw to the programming during the Attitude Era. It was incredible.
100%. And guys, as you can see, we have Val Venis here. 80swrestlingcon.com. Get your orders in. We are here. We are live. We'll be here from 7 to 10 p.m. Please, guys, get those orders in. We know that we want to keep him busy tonight. You know, he's used to that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You got to stay busy.
So we got to talk about the absolute amazing career. For me, growing up, WWE, WWF, back then, whatever, that was my era. That was my era. And when you came on the scene, the promos and what was coming out before you actually debuted, okay? I was young. I was a kid. I was so young. I used to get yelled at.
And doesn't surprise me.
I've been waiting to share this story because it is true, 100%. I got yelled at for your promo being on TV.
Yes.
And I was told, Victoria, you can't watch that stuff. And I was like, you better not tell me that because I'm going to watch it.
Oh, there you go. That's where you get your rebellious attitude. Started early, I see.
Yes.
Very good.
Climbing up my bookshelf, putting on the TV with the static electricity, like, hey, what's this?
Very good.
But you were absolutely amazing in every single way. And I have to ask, we know you had different realms and different things that you've done in the business, specifically speaking of WWF. What was your favorite?
I can never really put aside from, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, aside from being the big Val Boski, what was, because we have right to censor, all these different things, and I will say that when it was right to censor for me, I was upset.
I think everybody was upset. I think all the fans were upset.
I was upset.
If fans weren't upset, if you weren't upset, if you're at home right now thinking back to the right to censor time period in pro wrestling, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what she's talking about, I wasn't upset, you need to get your head checked. You see, most people were upset, including moi here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was an upsetting time.
Because you have a guy who is uncensored in every single way.
In every single way you could possibly think of.
And I will be honest, even as a kid, watching wrestling, I understood what was going on very well. But to kind of see that transition, I'm like, wait a minute, what? I mean, you were absolutely amazing. I loved your work so much. I really did. I really, truly did. We have all these belts here showcasing the career of what Val Venis has done.
Yes.
But
things have accomplished in the WWE.
Yeah, man.
This
lot.
one twice. This
yeah.
one right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Twice.
A lot, guys. A lot. Amazing worker, amazing person. But again, having that character, it was hard to kind of be a fan and kind of watch that transition over. I'm like, and I hate it. When I heard the siren, I wanted to turn my TV off.
Yes.
I wanted to turn my TV off. But when I heard the hello ladies, glued.
Glued to the screen. Yep, that's the way it should always have been from the get-go. It was. I'll tell you what. When I was standing backstage in what we call the gorilla position,
Right, that's right.
When the music hits, normally I'd hear that saxophone. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm right into character. Oh yeah, this is my town, Mac Daddy."
This is it. That's right.
And guy go walking out through that curtain, just as confident a human being could possibly be in knowing that I was walking down that ramp towards that ring, and every step I took and every breath I inhaled was going to be pure perfection.
Oh, yeah.
From the get-go to the very end. And then, of course, they threw me in a dress shirt, pants, and a tie. Had to fight to get the sleeves ripped off, but eventually they agreed to at least let me get the sleeves ripped off.
Oh, yeah.
But the music,
Awful.
instead of the saxophone hitting, you're backstage. I'm doing Hindu squats. I'm doing push-ups, trying to get all pumped up, trying to get mentally ready for my time in the ring, and then that knee.
I was like, I hate these people so much, but I like Val. It was awful.
It takes you off your game like nothing else. Like I can't explain how horrible that knee is. It's so bad.
So how did it feel to go from that back into, your original standing?
Oh, it was so much relief. It was so much relief. It was finally I can get back on the track and start having fun with this.
Yeah.
I understood the entire idea of why we had to do the right to censor. I understood it was a political thing with the Parental Television Council at the time that was trying to censor our programming.
Yep.
So I understood all the politics behind that right to censor. But I can't beat around the bush. It sucked.
Yeah.
No, I mean it did its purpose. There was no question about that. Really good heat. It was entertaining for people. They wanted to see us get our asses handed to us.
Yeah.
But was it the funnest time of my career? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And correct me if I'm wrong, please. It's quite all right, but that's when the big Val Venis was born, correct? When you went back to that transition?
Somewhat, yeah. We had been using the Big Val Venis just in and out of vignettes and interviews and things like that, but it wasn't something we were really highlighting.
Right.
It was just kind of the nickname that people would just use. But when I came back from RTC for a while, the Big Val Venis, that term, that name, became Val Venis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
you can't say Val Venis without saying that. That just goes without saying, guys.
that's just right. Absolutely.
And again, I'm going to plug real quick while we're having our little chit chat here, guys. 80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. You can have a signature, an 8x10 of Mr. Val Venis. He is here. He is live. We're going to be here for a few hours, guys. So please get those orders in. But yeah, I just knowing that I was here tonight with you, I was like, oh man, I was like, this is fantastic. There's certain things and there's certain moments, in life and especially within wrestling and being in the business myself and trying to make my way up. It's like there's certain people you meet along the way that you're like, this is something here. Because like I said earlier, you grew up in the Attitude Era. For me, grew up in the Attitude Era. Huge fan of the Attitude Era, and it was like I keep saying it because I just can't get over how hysterical it is. I literally got in trouble for watching you.
Yes, that was the entire intent of my character, was to get young people in trouble. And so I'm glad we succeeded in doing that.
You did succeed. I do want to give a quick plug here, guys. So we all know Mr. Tommy Fierro is always working very diligently behind the scenes. There's always something up his sleeve. It never ends. It probably never will. Sunday, September 5th at 4 p.m., we have ISPW Reboot, guys. And I will say, because I have to put myself over, that's just how I am. I will be on this said show, okay?
Oh, perfect.
So, to crown the first ever ISPW Women's Champion, guys. And for me, it's
very good.
Amazing to be a part of that. This has been going on for years, and to have that reboot and, whatnot, it's absolutely insane. I can promise you guys, if I have to be the vicious Vicky for 1 second, we have a V thing going on here, guys.
It's
just
the big
by the
V.
way, it's a big V's here.
V squared. V squared right here.
I have to say, I was like, wait a minute, we're all V's.
Right.
That's the letter. But guys, it's going to be a huge event. You don't want to miss this. Please, guys, look up on 80s Wrestling. We have the posters, the flyers, everything's out. Tickets are actually on sale right now, so please don't miss out on this opportunity because I am so stoked, and I would absolutely love to see my 80s wrestling family live and in action. Please, so come support.
Val will be at future shows.
And Val will be at future shows. We don't know which ones yet, but he will 100% be
You never
there.
know when the big Val Boski's gonna pop in anywhere. It could be anywhere. Could be anywhere.
That's exactly what we're going for here.
You just never know.
I only have a few more minutes with you, but I do want to ask you a very important question that I am always curious, and I always ask everybody. What was your absolute best, favorite personal feud that you had?
Ooh, that's a question I've been asked a lot throughout
Yeah.
my career. For me, it's difficult to nail down one as my absolute favorite. I had so much fun in a lot of different angles with a lot of different talent. If I would had to say ones that I would say stand out more so, I would definitely say the 1998 SummerSlam in Madison Square Gardens. The big Val Boski took on D'Lo Brown, a guy that I wrestled in Puerto Rico quite a bit. Well, I didn't wrestle; he wrestled with him in Puerto Rico. We were kind of on the same side of things over most of our time in Puerto Rico. But when it came to SummerSlam in WWE, and we finally got to lock horns one-on-one, we tore down Madison Square Gardens. And so that's definitely one that stands out. That's SummerSlam 1998. And another one, of course, is my big feud with Rikishi.
Yes.
Where we eventually went into the cage, and I took that big splash off the top of the cage from that big 400-plus pounder.
Yep.
Unbelievable. That was an incredible time. Of course, all my stuff with Goldust. Did you see any of that stuff?
I was just gonna say I was gonna wait for my opening. I was gonna be like, that was my favorite one.
That was your favorite one, the Goldust
Yeah,
segment. Oh, okay.
Because I was a big Goldust fan growing up, so to have the two of you collide, and then with the whole thing with Terry and everything, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was good TV.
It had you hooked. It did. It was fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, I'm happy that we could definitely keep you entertained
Heck
during
yeah,
that time
man.
period.
Always,
Yeah,
always.
Goldust was he was awesome to work with, and I would say those three really stand out.
Oh, yeah.
At least for my time in WWE, anyways. So it would be those would be my top three.
I couldn't agree as a fan more, guys. So you have it here. Val Venis is here. We are live. You guys can ask all the questions you want. Ryan, I'm going to turn it over to him very shortly. We'll answer all the questions that you guys have within a timely fashion. We do have to have some signatures being put out here, but guys, it was a pleasure. I know you missed me last week. I'm sorry. I'm here, so it's okay. It's okay. But guys, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Marr, guys. You can take a quick break if you want, but don't go too far because we're going to be live and in action from 7 to 10 p.m., guys. Get those orders in 80swrestlingcon.com.
Oh, and look at this before you finish up.
What's this?
When you want your picture signed, let us know the color. We got colors here. Colors.
They're very color coded. Our 80s wrestling family is actually very good with that, I will say.
Yes, let us know the colors.
So guys, the Vivacious Vicious Vicky, the Garden State Goddess, is out. We will be right back with more, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
'80swrestlingcon.com, WrestleZone.com if you're watching. Of course, everyone out in social media on Facebook. Monday Night Virtual is back. This is one that I personally have been looking forward to for a long, long time. My name's Ryan Marr. I'm your host, and I'm sitting next to a man who is no stranger to any wrestling fan from the Attitude Era, former WWE European Champion, Intercontinental Champion, and World Tag Team Champion. And I think one day, a future Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Morley, a.k.a. Val Venis, welcome back.
Hello, ladies.
There you go. One of the signature. And also, we have the strut entrance that we always used to see Val Venis perform.
Yeah, I would come down and I would point to the ground beneath my feet. And, I get that question a lot. What do you say when you're, because I was always saying something, and it was always the same thing, no matter what town I was in. When you saw me come out through that curtain and I'm pointing down to the ground I'm walking on, the words coming out of my mouth were, This is my town, Mac Daddy-O.
I love it.
Every single time. In every single town. In every single city.
Well,
it's all my town.
There you go. And that was why that angle, that whole storyline. I mean, you rode the Val Venis wave. I mean, we talked about right to censor with Vicky. A little bit of a curveball thrown your way, but then you went right back into it. And you were there from 1998 to 2009.
Yes.
With a gimmick that constantly was able to reinvent itself, because you could go and wrestle for a few months and then, you know what, we have an angle in mind for Val Venis, and it would just pick up right where it left off.
Yeah, it was a great gimmick to always fall back on something. As far as reinventing the actual character itself, it's pretty difficult to reinvent Val Venis over and over and over again.
It is.
It's one of those things where we would try other things. For example, the RTC, which was more of a politically motivated product or gimmick, I guess you could say. But once we were done with that, it had ran its course. The Val Venis character, you're right, we just step right back into it and continue on where we left off.
Exactly. And you know, we're going to talk a lot throughout the night. That character might not have been able to debut in 2021 and beyond, but it definitely left its mark on all the fans from back in the day. We're going to get right down to business, guys. We have the chat. Feel free to share the chat if you're watching on Facebook. There may be friends of yours that are scrolling through. They see Val Venis on their newsfeed. They want to order a picture. They go to 80swrestlingcon.com. They place their order. Val will sign the photo, give you a shout out. If you have any questions or comments about the man's career, keep the chat moving. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. I see everybody scrambling behind the scenes. We're ready to get started. Now, this has been something, the virtual signing that came about during the pandemic. A little bit of an interesting twist on the in-person signings. But now I'm sure that you're, as we're opening back up, glad to get back out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things where I like to get away from the house every once in a blue moon. And doing these kind of things where I can do appearances, autograph signings, things like that. It's great to get away.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a weekend here, a weekend there. Working hard down in Arizona, working nonstop. So being able to get away and float around in the wrestling business a little bit is definitely, it's fun.
Yeah, and if you want to know what Val's been working on in Arizona, give him a follow on Instagram, because lots of exciting stuff. Our first signature off the top, we got Colt Campbell. And he wants to the little Colt Boski.
To the little Colt Boski. What should we do this in? A black?
That's a black, I think, for that one. Of course, The Big Lebowski was a favorite movie of mine. And then back in that era of 1990s Attitude Era, many of the mainstream films had adult parodies. So when you have a wrestling porn star, you can have a lot of fun with that. And thus, The Big Val Boski was born.
And thus, The Big Val Boski was born.
Ryan Martinez wants to know, what was it like being trained by the Missing Link?
Missing Link. So, Missing Link was a character and a half. He was the guy that really taught me more of the theatrics of pro wrestling. It was his son, Jumpin' Jason Sterling, that broke me into the basics of pro wrestling. At the time I had somewhat of a little bit of a pedigree in amateur wrestling, both in Greco and freestyle. To change gears and get into the entertainment side of wrestling, I don't know, man. I enjoyed that little little switch, that little gear shift. I know a lot of people sometimes have an issue with making that shift from competition to entertainment. I had fun in that transition. I know, like Kurt Angle, a guy that went on to win the 1996 Olympics with a broken freaking neck, by the way.
He'll always remind you.
He'll always remind you of that. And, he found it a fun transition as well. He kind of got it. He picked it up and he made that transition very successfully. But I do find a lot of guys that come out of, freestyle, Greco, amateur wrestling have a tough time making that gear shift, that change into entertainment.
Well, especially when they're probably told in amateur wrestling, that fake stuff, this is what we really do. So it's hard, I think, to break that mindset as well.
Yeah, I think what really, I think you have to be more of a fan of pro wrestling growing up, or at least understand what pro wrestling is. It makes it easier to make that transition. But yeah, you're right, when they come up with that mindset that, no, what I do is real competition. That over there is not competition. Then they don't really have an interest in. They might have an interest in the money, But in order to get that money, they have to be able to make that transition.
Exactly. I'm going to let Mr. Venis continue with that signing. We have a lot of autographs coming in. The orders are coming in. Like I said, share this link on Facebook. Visit 80swrestlingcon.com, please. Your
All
order.
right. This one is to the little Colt Boski, Val Venis, right there. Now, here's a question. When I'm signing, can they go back and take that clip of video of me signing it?
Oh, absolutely. They can go to 80swrestlingcon.com in the coming days. The full 3-hour signing will be available, so they can go and watch and find out the exact moment when the big Val Venis signed their
There you go. Okay, very cool.
Now, the reason
you could break those out afterwards.
Yeah.
Add them to what's called NFTs.
Yeah.
And send it to the customer with the picture into the. You just send it through your wallet address, your blockchain wallet address.
Yeah.
That is their 100% proof of, what do you call it? Certificate of authentication, I guess it is.
That's way above my level.
Authenticity. There you go.
Yeah. Well, as they say in the Big Lebowski, I'm out of my element on that one. You're going to have to talk to Tommy Fierro at the end of the show, because Tommy Fierro is the wheeler and dealer. So if he wants to get involved in the NFT market, well, the Big Val Venis
And
is
it's
the guy to talk
super
to.
easy to do, too. It may sound like it's confusing, but once you see it once, you're like, oh my God, it's so easy.
Fascinating stuff.
It's really good. It's
World's
really
moving very fast.
It is.
Angelo
It is.
Rossi in Connecticut. He wants literally the longest autograph I've ever seen in 80s Wrestling Con history. He wants, you know something, the big Val Venis is a lot like a Rubik's Cube. The more you play with it, the harder it gets. How much did Vince Russo have to do with a lot of those promos? Or were you having some creative freedom?
You would be surprised. I did about 50% of the jokes.
Okay.
The writing team, well, okay, at first Vince Russo was doing all the jokes for a very short period of time at the beginning.
Okay.
After Vince Russo had left, I was doing about 50% of the jokes. The other 50% were basically chopped up between Al Snow and Kane.
Wow.
So
okay.
when I'd be in the locker room trying to brainstorm ideas to put a good joke together, there were times where you get writer's block. It just happens.
Uh-huh.
And the first people I would go to are Al Snow and Kane.
Al Snow I got to become acquainted with many years back towards the end of my run as a manager on the Indies. But then when I started doing stand-up comedy, Al Snow was doing a lot of the roasts, and he is very clever. His Facebook
He is very
jokes,
clever.
And, of course, there's the infamous night where he got you pretty good on live TV.
Yes, on live TV, he put my cell phone number on live, on Raw, on USA Network.
Yeah.
Nationwide, not just nationwide, in Canada as well.
Yeah.
You know, that went everywhere.
And Sky Sports in Europe.
And Sky Sports in Europe. So, yeah, my cell number went everywhere. And needless to say, I had to get a new number. I mean, we literally turned that phone off that night. And the next morning, we turned it back on later on in the night. It rang the second it got reception, and I turned it back off. The next morning when I woke up in the hotel, I turned it back on, and the second it got reception, it was still ringing.
That's great. Did you answer some of the calls just for fun?
On a drive from between the cities that night after the show, yeah, we test, and A-Train and I had a little fun with answering the phone calls. That kind of made a 3-hour drive go by real quick. That was fun.
That is fun, and it goes to show that it was a different time. And I think nowadays people would get their feelings hurt with a great joke like that. But
yeah, it's a different world we live in now, man.
Tim Wellington, we talked a little bit about the right to censor earlier. Actually, Vicky on the pre-show doing a great job with Val Venis. They talked about RTC. So go to 80swrestlingcon.com in the next couple days, and I'm sure this video will be posted, and you can find out all the information you want on RTC. Like you said, it's something, it was a part of history, it got its heat, but how could you really want to talk about that?
Right?
How do you take the Godfather and make him the good father and have fond memories of that? I mean, come on. Emil Menard jumping in to say hello. He's our 80s Wrestling Con live auction champion. Keep those questions and comments coming. Share this link on Facebook to all your friends. Hello to everyone watching on WrestleZone.com. Lucas Glover, I didn't like that WWE put Val in the right to censor. I thought the Val Venis character stood alone great. Yes, indeed, but they discussed it earlier. It had to be done for political reasons. Travis Babcock wants to know, what was it like working with Ken Shamrock and Billy Gunn at St. Valentine's Day Massacre 1999? Ken Shamrock we know is a very intense individual, but I get the vibe that Billy Gunn can be quite an intense individual as well.
Yeah, those guys were two of the most intense guys in WWE at the time. And I'll tell you a little story about
Please do.
about Billy Gunn. So there was one day I sent him off to the ropes and I said spine buster. And when you throw Billy Gunn off the ropes, I mean that's a 275-pound jacked dude. That is, he goes full steam into those ropes.
Hell of an athlete, too.
Yeah, hell of an athlete. And he's coming off full steam as well. Well, when I hit that spine buster, I like the guy to, give me a little bit of a lift, but let me be in control and spin and turn around and get everything nice and flat when we land. Well, Billy Gunn, not knowing the kind of athlete he really is, came off the ropes, and when I waist locked him off the ropes and he jumped up so hard that he pulled my feet off the ground.
Wow.
And I was able to spin my whole body around in the air and get us both flat. But back in the locker room, I'm going, bro, what the hell was that? And he's like, what, Val? You did it good? And I'm like, bro, you took my entire 255-pound body up in the air with you. The guy's an athlete. It was unbelievable the vertical this guy had.
And I remember even watching one of the WrestleManias where he did a run-in and he just slid. I mean, he slid so hard and fast at the bottom rope. That
almost slid out the other side. I remember that,
I remember
that.
Freak of nature athlete. They just showed Mankind winning the world title again recently on one of the shows, and Billy Gunn comes in to take out Ken Shamrock, and boom, just hits him. I mean, again, full on, and that's what it was back in those days.
Now, who's that one for? That's for
Angelo Rossi in Connecticut.
Now, he just wants me to put that. He doesn't want me to put his name on it?
Well, no, that one you signed already. We're going to keep on moving. So This one is for Melvin Seymour in Pennsylvania, but he wants to chase. So a lot of people gift these to other friends and family members of theirs. Travis Babcock wants to know. Travis Babcock's very active in these chats. We're very thankful for him. Did you enjoy being Chief Morley, Eric Bischoff's assistant general manager? I enjoyed watching that. I felt like you guys had great chemistry together.
And who's asking that?
That's Travis Babcock.
Travis. All right, let's get back with that question real quick. This one's to Chase. There you go, Chase. Presto. All right, so just repeat that question.
No problem. Did you enjoy being Chief Morley, Eric Bischoff's assistant general manager?
Just add to Angel on that.
Oh, okay, I'm going to put that one on there. Okay. Just this one here.
So 80swrestlingcon.com, if you want to get those orders in for Val Venis, we'll be with him till about 10 p.m. tonight.
There you go, brother.
Thanks.
All right, so as far as the Chief Morley gimmick with Eric Bischoff, loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great time. The only thing I really had an issue with was I had creative telling me to be somebody I wasn't. And so it was a lot of pushback from me.
Especially after having a couple years of freedom to do
Especially having a couple years of freedom. They want to make me this Chief Morley. They want me to talk a certain way, act a certain way. And it was kind of a push and shove type thing because I remember Vince McMahon, one of the first things he told me, if you don't feel comfortable playing a character, don't do it because it's going to have far less of a chance of actually getting over. Mm-hmm. And so the way they were telling me they wanted me to talk, and it wasn't me, and I had a hard time identifying with that character. And we found a happy medium where I had a good time doing it, and I would love to continue doing it, but if we ever did that one again or anything like that anywhere, that's something that I would like to have more of the Val Venis character just kind of roll over into that political character.
Absolutely, which would make sense.
Which would make sense.
That would be art imitating life in many ways because
Absolutely.
We've seen people from that industry delve into politics.
Right,
So.
right.
Next up, we have Rogino. Is it Rogino or Rogiro? I think it's Rogino Avila in California. Well, we need to know. Can we get a clarification on this one, Ian? To Rogelino? It's like spelled differently. I just don't want to confuse it when he signs it. Very, very important that we get these right the first time. While Ian Levy's checking up on that, we're going to go with Brian Lanzieri in Andover, Connecticut. He wants to the Big Brybowski.
This one's in black
that
as well.
That one is in black. Keep those questions and comments coming on.
And is this is
to Brian Lanzieri.
You betcha. All right.
80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in for Sean Morley, a.k.a. Val Venis. We got the championships out front represented, the European title, the Intercontinental title, and, of course, the World Tag Team Championship, which he had with Lance Storm.
Two-time IC champion.
That is correct. Two-time Intercontinental Champion.
Two-time. Two-time. How's that look?
Very, very nice.
There you go, Brian. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Or as Rikishi kept saying last week,
Oh, wait.
verified.
Here, put that with it.
Verified.
Sorry, man.
What was
did,
your...
what was Rikishi saying?
After everything, he'd be like, you are now verified.
You are now verified. I like it. I like it.
After getting to know him a little bit last week, and I feel like I've known you a couple years with social media and everything like that, I could see the two of you guys having great chemistry, not just in the ring, but also outside of it.
Oh, I loved working Rikishi. Rikishi was awesome, man.
Ryan, what was the problem on that one?
I couldn't see if it was Rogelino or Rogino, so I just asked for a clarification because it looked different on both sides. So this one is to Rogelino Avila in California. To
Okay, and that's-
Rogelino.
Rugelino?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what are we putting on this? Just
No, that's just
two
to Rogelino and the signature. Bob Love wants to know, Val, Montreal or Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay.
There you go. I guess they assumed just because you had the Canadian background that it would be the other way.
Well, I love Canada. Canada is a beautiful country, but the people running that country suck. They tax you like you're just a piece of, what do you call that? Chattel? Is it chattel slavery or whatever they call it? I mean, they literally just, they rob you at every turn. It doesn't matter what you do. You breathe air, you get taxed in Canada. When you get too close to the border, you can be intoxicated with the tax fumes coming over the border. It's terrible. The taxation in Canada is horrendous. Beautiful country, politics ruins it.
Well,
Politics
there you go.
ruins it.
There you go. So, Bret Hart, I hope you aren't watching, and if you are, no offense. 80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in.
Whoa, get that S in there. All right. So, Rugelino, there you go. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There you go.
Just have need you to review this one. To Big Brian Bowski.
Oh, Big Brian Bowski or Big
Big
Brian
Bri.
Bowski?
Big
Brian
Bri
Bowski.
Bowski.
We got to make sure we get it right. 80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. Share this link on Facebook. Tell your friends we're hanging out with Val Venis till 10 p.m. A huge star from the Attitude Era. One that will certainly never be duplicated for various reasons. But 80swrestlingcon.com, in the next couple days, you'll be able to watch this entire 3-hour interview as well as all our past signings. Bob Love, same
How's that
way
one?
out here in California, agreed. I guess he's talking
Big
about
Brian
taxation.
Bowski. There you go, buddy. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There we go. Next up, we got Sean Matthews in Virginia. But
How's
it's
he spell it?
to-
S-E-A-N?
Well, he wants it to Jersey. To Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh, he does spell it S-E-A-N.
Yeah.
The Irish way, the right way. All right, so he wants it to Jersey. All right.
To Jersey. Mike Ferrara says, met Val in AC. He's great. Get those orders in, 80swrestlingcon.com. Share this video feed on Facebook. Let everybody know we're here with Val Venis. Keep those questions and comments coming in.
All right, Sean Matthews, there you go, brother. To Jersey. Hello, ladies. Val Venis, you, my friend, are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There we go. Tamika Walden, how can we get an autograph? 80swrestlingcon.com. Place your order. And now we're cooking with gas. We're moving along. This one is Hello Ladies. It's for Heather Ubides. So Heather wants Hello Ladies in black.
In black, you betcha.
80s Wrestling.
And we're signing
up?
it to Heather.
Oh, wait, hold on. There's something on the back I'm supposed to read. One of the friends.
No, you don't read it out loud, man.
Oh,
Read it for yourself.
oh, okay. When you said, did I read it, I thought you wanted me to read it out loud. I'm sorry.
All right. Let's do
Hello,
this.
ladies. '80swrestlingcon.com.
Read it again.
What's that?
Read it again.
I'm not following.
Read it again, the back of that picture.
Out loud or to myself?
That's yourself.
Okay. Okay. Oh.
All right. All right, Heather, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Looks like that is going to be the catchphrase for the night. Now, this is, again, a lot different than the normal in-person signings, but now
Yes.
we're getting back out there. Do you have anything in-person coming up that you're going to be a part of?
I've got some stuff coming on October, 2 weekends in October. I can't remember the dates, so I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. But yeah, I got 2 events coming up in October booked so far. I got another one July 9th, so that's coming up quick out in Chicago,
Gotcha.
Wisconsin area. Other than that, man, it's fairly tough for me to get away from Arizona
Yeah.
on a regular basis. You
Yeah.
know, I got to pick my weekends, and those weekends are few and far between.
I hear that. Next up, we got Adam Barney in New York. He wants in blue.
In
to
blue.
Adam. Of course, these round of photos coming up are with the Intercontinental Championship. I believe this was during Val's first run as the IC champion. Was that a big deal for you when you won the Intercontinental Championship?
Yes, that was my favorite title growing up, watching WWF at the time. You know, you look at people like Macho Man Randy Savage that carried that title. You look at guys like Ricky Steamboat, for example. And you take a look at guys after those two. You look at Kurt Hennig, for example. It seemed like all the great technicians held that IC title. And for me, that's where I saw the workhorses at.
Absolutely.
You know, the World Championship was always something that was a secondary goal for me. In terms of, I mean, not in terms of, you know, for financial reasons, absolutely the World Championship's the main goal. But in terms of personal satisfaction, yeah, that IC title was the king of it's the king.
Yeah.
The cream of the crop right there.
Absolutely.
When it comes to who the workhorses are in WWE.
Yeah, and I feel like guys like you and Chris Jericho were the guys that really let regular fans know about that, how much the Intercontinental title was coveted amongst the guys in the locker room, because if you had that Intercontinental Championship, you were wrestling and putting on great matches every night when you went out there.
Yeah, that's the way I always saw the IC title. It was the workhorses that carried that IC title. And so I was honored to carry that IC title twice.
There you go, 2 times.
Adam, there you go, my friend. We got you a signature on that picture right there. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There you go. Next up, we got Johnny Bush in blue to Johnny Bush, B-U-S-C-H,
Johnny Bush.
so like Anheuser-Busch. Anacap La. So I guess that would be La Anacap. Biggest mystery is how Val never had the Hardcore Championship. Everyone else won it, even by accident.
Ain't that the truth?
Of course, that was the era of the 24/7 title.
Yes. You know, I'm kind of glad I never went after that hardcore title. Not really my thing. I'd pay to watch it, but not really my thing to get myself involved in. You know, that face is a little too pretty for that.
There was a lot of exciting things that were happening during that time.
Johnny Bush, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There you go. Next up, we got Gavin Gray in Arizona in blue.
Gavin Gray in Arizona.
Gavin
I'm
Gray.
heading back to AZ tomorrow. All right.
Bill Dismaris says, glad to see you healed up after the samurai sword incident. That was within your first month and a half, 2 months into the company. Of course, you had liaisons with Mr. Yamaguchi-san's wife.
Yes, yes.
And that's when they went to Choppy your pee-pee.
yes.
And you were saved
I was saved.
by John Wayne Bobbitt.
John Wayne Bobbitt came and flipped out the lights, and they missed with that sword.
That whole little story I just told, I think, sums up the 90s in a nutshell.
Pretty
doesn't it?
much, yeah. It was a wild time. You couldn't get away with what that content that we made for TV back in the Attitude Era, with the choppy or pee thing, the whole kit and caboodle, yeah, that gets you canceled today. In a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
That would get you canceled.
Absolutely. And I mean, I remember when WWE shut down the network here in the United States, moved over to Peacock streaming service through NBC, and there was all this controversy. Well, what are they going to do with pretty much every Val Venis promo? And then I remember people were posting the video of that great angle you did with Dustin and Terry Runnels and the Preacher's wife. And it's amazing to watch that 20 years later, because yes, we have been conditioned, even if we've tried not to. But then I just watched that promo and said to myself, that's just great heat. That's what
Great
wrestling's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But
that was a different time.
It really
different
was.
time on TV. We said things on the national TV that, they would get canceled today.
Absolutely.
In a heartbeat. Like, no question. And that one is for Gavin Gray. All right, Gavin, you are now officially hooked up and dialed in, my friend.
All right, we were just talking about the Intercontinental Championship. Next up, we have Shannon LeMan, and she wants in blue 2 Shannon and 2 times IC champion. Hello,
bet.
ladies.
All right, so 2 Shannon.
But, you know, with the Instagram community that exists and everybody on social media, no matter what gets, banned or canceled as far as being on Peacock, those great moments will live forever. And I love just going through Instagram and falling down that rabbit hole and seeing stuff that I was like, wow, I didn't remember that, but that's some good stuff.
Yeah, and I think with the advent of blockchain technology, you're going to see stuff get permanently posted to the blockchain, and nobody will be able to remove it.
Yeah.
And so that's coming down the pipeline. Well, it's already here. It's just a matter of people learning about it.
Yeah, and it's going to take a while.
It will. Yeah, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
All right, Shannon, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
All right, next up we got Nick Pomeroy in Arizona, still in blue. He wants 2 Nick.
2 Nick, coming up.
Kyle James says, how about him and Ryan Shamrock? And I remember that because Alicia Webb, who played Ryan Shamrock, she was one of the first people from TV that I worked with on the indies as a kid. And that was, talk about another great storyline. They introduced Ryan Shamrock, the little sister of the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. And guess who had an affair with her too?
That would be yours truly, the big Val Venis, getting into the head of her brother Ken Shamrock. Well, you really have to get into the head of Ken Shamrock and mess with that head to take him off his game, because you don't want a Ken Shamrock that is on his game stepping through those ropes and then looking you dead square in the eye. You got to take advantage of every aspect of the wrestling game. I had the technical ability, got the brawling ability, don't like to brawl too much of a pretty face right here, and Ken can throw. And so when Ken's on his game, he's dangerous. But you get into his head by going after his sister and rubbing it in his face, where he can't hurt you, by the way. If you notice, every time I rubbed it in his face, I was either on the stage while he was in the ring, or I was in a completely different building on the Titantron.
There you go.
Stay away from that guy. That guy's dangerous. And sure enough, when I got in the ring, he was out of his mind. He came charging across like a bull. Well, if you're out of control like that, I'll just pick you off.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's the chess game right there.
There you go.
And you had to play that with Ken Shamrock, because there was no way in hell I was going to get in that ring with Ken Shamrock, who was on his game. No way.
Unless you had an ace in the hole.
Less than the ace in the hole. It's the
Figuratively
mental
and literally.
game. All right, Nick, there you go, buddy. Nick from Arizona. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in, my friend.
Somebody earlier in the chat, and I apologize for forgetting your name, it's moving pretty fast, they had asked about your relationship with Vince McMahon, and I guess to go a little further with that, I want to know, how much input did Vince McMahon have on some of these storylines with you, hooking up with Ken Shamrock's sister, or the vignettes? Did Vince have any input on those directly, or was it mostly you and Vince Russo?
No, Vince McMahon he would approve or disapprove everything, but he left most of it up to Vince Russo to design a story that would fit in Vince McMahon's overall vision.
Gotcha.
And so Vince would lay out an overall vision. Vince Russo would then go into action and design a storyline that would push the storyline into what Vince McMahon's overall vision really is.
Gotcha.
And then I would go out there and perform it.
And execute it. There you go.
Yep.
Next up, Brandon Savage in Louisville, Kentucky. Best DJ in Louisville in blue.
In blue.
There you go.
All right. And this is to Brandon Savage, right?
Yes.
Brandon Savage, you bet.
I'm scrolling back up in the chat because there were actually some good questions I saw come in, and then I had to just keep moving. But again, if I forgot your name when I asked the question, please feel free to jump in and remind me. Oh, here's a good one from Tina Mrozak, because we were talking about how the Intercontinental title meant so much to you. She wants to know, was Val bummed that the design of the IC title changed, so it wasn't the same design as Savage and Steamboat carried? Did that bum you out a little bit?
Not really. I looked more as I said before, I looked at the IC title as the title that went on to the workhorses in the company. Did I have a preference as to which belt I liked? I liked this one. There were a couple other ones I liked as well. And there were other ones that I would look at and go, we could have done better with that. But does that take away from the meaning of that belt? Not in my mind.
No.
The meaning of that belt is the men wearing that are the workhorses right there. And that's what's important to me. For me, that was the importance of that title. These guys were the technicians. These were the guys that could go out and literally wrestle with anybody and put on a phenomenal match. And so what it looks like to me is secondary. It's like, you might have a preference for one or the other, but it's nothing. It's not important.
There you
So,
go.
and remember that old book that says "Don't sweat the small stuff"? Well, the change of the title to me is small stuff. I don't even really think about it too much. But, just for craps and giggles, I like this one here.
There you go. That is I think, when the picture, well, Tito Santana was the first that was presented with this championship, and I just think when you think Intercontinental Championship, there is no other design that comes to mind. Certainly not the title that they're currently using.
Right. Ain't that the truth?
Oh, man. Going through the comments and questions, keep them coming in. The chat is moving quite a bit, so bear with me. I'll try to get to as many people as I can.
All right, Brandon Savage, there you are, my friend. Your photo signed by yours truly, the Big Val Boski. Got you hooked up and dialed in.
All right, next up, we're switching to green markers for Scott McInnes.
Green.
Scott McInnes.
Scott McKinney.
Irish name, Irish color for Scott McInnes. There you go.
All right.
80swrestlingcon.com to watch all the past signings we've had. We're going to be back here on...
Now,
Oh.
just a quick question here. I don't mean to cut you
No,
off right
please.
there. Does he want it to Scott, like it says here, or to Scott McInnes?
I would imagine just to Scott.
To Scott,
Yeah,
all right.
to Scott.
All right.
80swrestlingcon.com to check out the video of all the past signings. We're going to be back on July 26th with the man of 1,000 holds, Dean Malenko.
Dean Malenko's coming in, is he?
Yes, he is.
Very good. That'll be exciting.
I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, Scott, my friend, there you go, brother. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Aaron Karpinka from the highly taxed nation of Canada.
Oh,
as we learned
no.
earlier.
God bless him, man. God bless him.
In silver, 2 Adam Intercontinental Champion.
All right, in silver, you say.
Yep.
All right.
Brian Santoro says, I love the Classics Intercontinental Championship. Yeah, it seems like that's the overall consensus, that everybody misses that title design. Ryan Martinez wants to know if you have any good stories from Puerto Rico as one part of the Canadian Glamour Boys.
Oh, yeah.
I
don't think most of those stories would be appropriate for here.
Okay, there
But
you go.
I may share one with you.
All right, well, hey, that's totally on you.
Family-friendly one, though.
Okay.
Family-friendly one, yeah.
A family-friendly one where maybe you could read between the lines while watching at home. But yeah, I can only imagine what it was like in Puerto Rico during that time frame. Just in the name Canadian Glamour Boy, I'd imagine that you got quite a bit of attention over there.
Oh, yeah, we did. We sure did.
And I wonder if that's what led to the birth of Val Venis.
No. That was a different story.
Okay.
That was a different story.
Well, we got plenty of time.
Adam, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. Hopefully, when this goes across the border, they don't charge you $10,000 duty. Man.
We knew that was coming. Staying in Canada, next up we got Keenan Gabi. It's 2 Keenan, hello ladies in silver.
In silver, another silver, all right. Canadians in silver. I'm getting it now.
Thank you, sir. '80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in here with Val Venis till about 10 p.m. Store should be open till around 9:30. Get those orders in. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat. So much ground to cover over the years. 11 years in the WWE.
All right, Keenan, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Another one for Brian Lanzier in Connecticut to the Big Brybowski in silver.
Big Brybowski. All right.
Randy Hogan says, hi, Val. First class guy.
Hey, Randy, what's up? Thanks for the weekend, my friend. That was fun. He was down in Atlantic City with me at a convention.
Oh, cool, cool.
All right, am I...
Let's see, the marker here, having a little bit of an issue
A little bit of issue.
the silver marker. I think there's another one. Oh, this is the paint one. Maybe that's why.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you want paint for that one?
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, let's see these ones. These ones are good.
Sometimes these Sharpies, they don't want to work with you.
Right? To the Big Brybowski.
Eric Sims is trying to stir up controversy in the chat, and I'm not falling for it. So,
What's he saying? What's he saying?
am I allowed to read it? Okay. Ask Val his thoughts on the booking of the women in AEW. I'm like, Eric Sims, what are you trying to just light a powder keg over here? We're trying to not be controversial, but
Well, you know, I will say this. God bless the women of AEW. The biological women of AEW.
there you go, Eric. Thank you for your input. Bo Oliver wants to know, how was the match with Eddie and Chyna and Trish? That was a good one.
You know, that was a lot of fun working with Eddie Guerrero. And to this day, that just, man, every time I hear his name, it's just, Eddie and I had good chemistry. We did a lot of good stuff in that ring. And Chyna was in there, and she was every day getting better and better and better at what she did. And it was just an amazing time working with Eddie. I got to work with him for quite a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that went on for a good almost 5 months. And, you know, we traveled all over the United States doing that little story between the two of us.
And I feel like you guys brought out a lot of that. And, like, you know, everyone always says, okay, put Ric Flair in the ring with anybody and it's going to be good, right? I feel like the same goes when you have 2 good promo guys that can get behind a character.
Yes.
And I think you guys brought that out in each other. Nobody really looked at Eddie Guerrero prior to that as an entertaining guy. He was a wrestler.
He was a wrestler.
And then he's got the love angle with Chyna, and he's being funny, and he's being vulnerable. And then you're involved in it, and you're being a huge character at the time.
A huge character at the time.
So I really felt like you guys brought that out in each other.
Yeah, and you know, Eddie kind of got away. I mean, Eddie's always been a technician in the ring. That guy was always like Dean Malenko, just hard-nosed technician. And when he kind of developed a character and started to be funny, and that's when I felt Eddie Guerrero became a massive superstar.
Absolutely.
Because before that, he's catering to the demographic of people that like technical wrestling. Once he developed the character, now he's still doing the technical stuff, so he's still got those fans. But now he's appealing to a much broader spectrum in the demographics of people that just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And make no mistake about it, Eddie Guerrero evolved into the Eddie Guerrero that became a professional entertainer because that guy was funny.
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
I don't know how half the time you guys didn't break character while in the ring. I mean, that's a true testament, too.
Yeah, you know, I mean, once you're in that ring, you got the adrenaline going.
Yeah.
You know what you got to do. But yeah, there are times when you're putting it together that you can definitely break out. That's for sure. All right, the Big Brybowski. There you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Jim Womack wants to know, did Val have to practice the art of towel twirling in order to master it?
I literally practiced every night I walked down to the ring. It just got better. I didn't practice in the locker room. I didn't practice during the daytime.
Okay.
I'd literally just go. I just try different things.
There you go.
And eventually I said, well, that looks pretty cool. When I was in the ring, I peeled it off. And I go, what happens if I twirl it? So I literally standing in the turnbuckle, turning it, and going, yeah, I think I'll keep doing that.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, it just evolves, right? It just gets better and better.
Van Robbins in San Antonio, Texas. Silver to Van. We're learning a lot about Val Venis, about his time in WWE during the Attitude Era. Of course, one of the most controversial yet entertaining characters of the Attitude Era and beyond was the Val Venis character. If you have any questions, comments, favorite moments, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Also, share this link with your friends. Let them see that we got Val Venis here and he's taking orders. Going to be signing till about 10 p.m.
There you go, Van, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. This will be making its way down to San Antonio, Texas.
Next up, we got a 80s Wrestling Con regular, Jamie Spivey.
Jamie Spivey.
To Jamie.
Any relation to Danny Spivey?
I asked that the first 10 weeks in a row, and I'm sure it has gotten old for her, but hey, it came from Val Venis, so now it's special. There you go.
There you go.
Devin Ashman asking about the Chief Morley stuff. We talked about that earlier, Devin. So go back in the next couple days to 80swrestlingcon.com. Watch this full signing. Just scrolling up in the comments just to see if there's anything that I've missed.
All right, Jamie, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Great question from Peter Petroni. Question for Val. What does he think is missing from today's wrestling shows that made the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s so good? Also, who's your favorite wrestler wrestling now?
That I could not give an honest opinion of because I just don't have time to watch the products all the way through. I don't know any of the storylines that are going on. The only characters that I know are a few here and there just from doing cardio. A few clips will pass, you know, through my screen as I'm scrolling through it doing cardio.
I feel like that's how a lot of people watch wrestling nowadays, just on YouTube, the big clips of what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just too busy. I don't have time to sit down in front of a TV and watch an entire show and get to know the characters and whatnot. But from what I do know, a little bit I have seen, you know, I think Roman Reigns seems to be doing really, really good stuff in WWE. This Kenny Omega guy that I guess he was in Japan, made a big name for himself over in Japan, did some stuff with Jericho in Japan and then blew up over here in the States and joined AEW. I have not seen any of his full matches, but I've seen clips enough to where I'm like, hey, that guy's got something to him. You know, there's a little bit of an it factor there, but I can't really give an honest opinion of... I just don't know the characters that are out there.
That's fair. That's fair. But do you know anything about, as far as your opinion on what's missing from today's product at the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s? So that's a big category. That's a lot of time right there. Usually people say 80s, not 90s. This guy thinks everything was great up until the early 2000s and then fell off. So what do you think's missing?
You know, I think it's society. It's society it's back in the day you had network TV. You know, through cable or whatever, there was limited choices. You didn't really have a robust internet that we have today, where there's so many other opportunities to be entertained. So the competition in entertainment was really limited to Hollywood and whatever the networks were playing.
Yep.
So I think today you have society that's changed. So there's two things, really. There's a lot more interesting things for the human race to focus on. So, you know, wrestling doesn't just have competition from a few different TV shows. You got UFC, you got, what's that one in the UK, One Plus or whatever it is, which is the fight league over there. You have streaming pro wrestling from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Coming over from Japan, you got even wrestling fans are being
inundated.
And so there's so much. You get that, and you combine it with the fact that society's minds have changed. You can't push the envelope in pro wrestling anymore without the threat of being canceled. And I mean, that's a very real threat, and that's a threat that's changing everything, really.
Without a doubt.
I mean, entertainment is being very nerfed, I guess you could say. It's one of those things where you combine all the different opportunities for human beings to be distracted or to be occupied with, whether it's video games, whether it's movies, whether it's people going out instead of watching TV, they're going out and making their own YouTube content. You know, you have all these people going in different directions. Then you get down to the wrestling industry, and you have WWE that can cater to millions of people, but you also have, New Japan Pro Wrestling just through the internet that can cater to those same people.
Exactly.
And so you get that, and you combine it with the fact that you can't push the envelope.
I think it's also you can't push the envelope, but also the old adage of less is more. Because you used to have to anticipate something happening. A show would end with some big cliffhanger.
Yes.
You go, oh, wow, I have to watch next week to
Yes.
see what happens. Now it's, oh, we'll go to the WWE Network on Peacock and watch The Bump, and we're going to have an interview. And it's like, wait, what? Like, so you don't... The attention span is gone because there's just so much being thrown at you constantly.
Yeah, I agree. It's I don't see a real vision, whereas before you could see a vision. During the Attitude Era, the vision was clear. One man made that vision, and that was Vince McMahon. And everybody else fell in line and made that vision a reality. And so when I look at, any of the little clips I see today, if I were looking at Attitude Era clips and not even looking at the whole show, just looking at clips, you can see the vision in those clips. You look at clips of wrestling today, and I don't see a vision. Mm-hmm. I see companies that are, going in different directions, or they have like multiple different visions, and you don't know which one they're focusing on. And so that's just from my opinion, with my limited amount of knowledge into regards to what's going on in the shows.
I mean, it may be limited to what's going on now, but I mean, you were there for so long. I was just watching your match with Rikishi for the Intercontinental title from Fully Loaded 2000 inside a steel cage. Of course, everyone talks about the big moment at the end, Rikishi jumping off, hitting you with the splash, but even the fact that you guys were in a steel cage, the story leading up to that made it so that you had to be in a steel cage. Whereas now they're going to go, you know what, we're going to have a pay-per-view where everyone's in a steel cage for every match. Yeah. And I just think that really takes away.
Absolutely, it does. You're so right. Well, it does take away from it.
So that's why I think things have changed, and I think Val agrees. So there you go.
100%.
Eric Lewis in Missouri's up next.
Silver for Eric. All right.
Jim Baez says, how jealous was the rest of the locker room that you got to work with Jenna Jameson?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a trip. I don't know how jealous they were, but I know when I walked into the TV studio afterwards, I was getting high fives from everybody. What's going on here? That was Jenna Jameson. Oh, okay.
Good times. Travis Babcock wants to know if you keep in contact with anybody from your era. Still friends with any of the guys you worked with back during that time?
Yeah, I'm still friends with some of the guys. Godfather's a guy I stay in touch with every once in a while. He's in the same industry I'm in right now. So, Godfather's always a guy that if I have any questions or anything, I'd call that guy up. He's, a guy I liked hanging out with.
There you go. He seems like he's a lot of fun to hang out with.
He sure is. All right, Eric. There you go, my friend. To Eric, and you are now officially hooked up and dialed in, my friend.
As soon as I said that he's a good guy to hang out with, and you went, yeah, he is, over on the side, our buddy Mike was like, to the thumbs up. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with the Godfather myself. Next up, we have Josh Greenblatt in Iowa. Silver to Josh and Alyssa.
You betcha.
IC
Josh
champion.
And Alyssa. Yeah, Godfather. That's a genuine human being right there, man. I'm a big fan of the Godfather.
Seems like he is a genuine human being. It seems like a lot of the guys from that era, I mean, again, you're on the road anywhere from 180 to 300 days a year. You build those bonds. I don't think those ever just go away. Scrolling up through the comments, trying to see if there's anything that I missed. Feel free to share this video feed. Let your friends see that we're hanging live with Val Venis. They can go to 80swrestlingcon.com and place their order.
All right, there you go, Josh. That one is to Josh and Alyssa. And you are now hooked up and dialed in.
There you go.
All right, hold on. I dropped the marker cap.
Oh.
Right down there.
Good save right there.
Right.
Next up, we got Sean Mcbride in Illinois, silver to Sean.
All right. And he spells it S-E-A-N, the Irish way. Very good, Sean. Very good.
One of the comments just now, Travis, I always thought you and Godfather had kind of the same gimmicks in a way. Similar and different. He was the pimp, of course, the Godfather. And Val Venis was the adult film star. One of these activities is legal, one of them is not. But of course, there was the tag team Supply and Demand that lasted a little bit there.
Yeah, Supply and Demand. I wish we had done more with that. All right, Sean, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in, brother.
Next up, all the way in Helena, Alabama, Hagen Lee. Silver to Hagen. Hello, ladies.
Silver to Hagen, all right.
80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. Check out the list of all the great signings we have coming up from now through the end of October. We're going to be back on July 26th with the Man of 1,000 Holds, Dean Malenko. Some great stuff coming up in August with Mark Merrow, the Godfather. Of course, Virtual Mania 2, which will be coming up on Sunday, August 22nd. Check out 80swrestlingcon.com for more information about that.
All right, Hagen, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
You called him Hagen, I called him Hagen because I was thinking of Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs. Oh, yeah, Haagen-Dazs.
So I just saw that, and my fat guy mind went elsewhere, so I apologize, Hagen. Next up, we got Luke Glover, black, just signature, plus hello,
black.
ladies.
You betcha.
80swrestlingcon.com. Place those orders. Keep those comments and memories and questions coming in the chat. Scrolling up, looking through the comments and questions.
And who's that for? That's for Luke?
Luke Glover.
Luke Glover, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up in Illinois, we got Sly Fitzenko. Black to Sly.
All right, to Sly.
Kyle James says, shout out to the Wrestling Collector, too, for those great wrestling magazines. Yeah, I believe they have like over 3,000, I'm probably even on the low end right there, 3,000 magazines and more at the Wrestling Collector Superstore. Follow the Wrestling Collector on Instagram. Follow 80s Wrestling. Give me a follow, Ryan Marr Comedy. Of course, Val Venis is on Instagram. I believe it's Val Venis ENT.
At Val Venis ENT.
There you go.
Betcha.
So if you're on Instagram, lots for you to follow. But of course, don't forget about at 80s Wrestling for all your daily pro wrestling content from the 80s and more.
Sly, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Bill Dismarius in Warwick, Rhode Island. Black to Bill.
All right.
Bill's another one of our 80s Wrestling Con super fans, always active at these virtual signings and more. So it's good to see you, Bill. Bubba John says, were those chairs covered by the right to censor? No, sir. Those are the Val Venis towels hanging over those chairs. But I like where your head is at.
Yeah, that right to censor gimmick, I'll tell you. Not my most favorite point of my career.
Here's an interesting question from Brian Santoro. Val, if you made a return to pro wrestling today, what would be your gimmick persona of choice? Do you have something in mind that would match the current climate?
Yes, I would wear a full body suit and a cape, and on the front of the bodysuit it would say, please do not, and on the back it would say, cancel me. Bill, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There you go. Next up, Alan Kennedy. Sue Allen, hello ladies, staying in black for that.
In black, you betcha.
Romeo Sass wants to know if you still wrestle, Val.
Once in a very blue moon, if you could call it that.
Okay.
But no, not that often. Doesn't mean I won't in the future, but not right now.
Kyle James, Godfather, said the same thing on the Stone Cold podcast. Yes, the Stone Cold Sessions on Peacock's WWE Network. Godfather was recently on. We're going to have Godfather here next month, but he was saying the same thing about right to censor and how it was basically a response to what was going on.
That's just
at
it.
the time.
Yep. All right, Alan, there you go, my friend. And another one, hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we have our live auction 80s Wrestling Con Monday Night Virtual Champion, Emil Menard. This guy is the #1 fan, Black to Emil.
All right, to Emil.
Corey Anhorn, how do I get myself a picture? You go to 80swrestlingcon.com. Place your order. Going to be here with Val Venis until about, well, we're going to be here with them until 10 o'clock. I believe the store is open until 9:30, so get those orders in, 80swrestlingcon.com.
All right, Emil. There you go, brother. Hooked up and dialed in.
Doug Harvey in Illinois, Black to Doug.
To Doug.
Mike Ferrara says, loved when Val wrestled for ECPW. Share this Facebook feed. Let your fans that are, or friends that are wrestling fans know that we're here with Val Venis.
Yeah, these make great birthday gifts for that wrestling fan that you know, whether it's your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your grandma. Don't tell me your grandmothers don't like pro wrestling. My grandmother loved Ricky Steamboat Pro Wrestling. Didn't like anyone else.
There you go.
Anyone else. She'd be in the kitchen, making tuna salad sandwiches and all that, and us kids be watching pro wrestling Saturday afternoon, and the second Ricky Steamboat song came on, game over. She would come out of that kitchen, move us all off the couch, sit right in the middle of it, and go shh, shh, shh. And she would watch Ricky Steamboat from the time he left the curtain till the time he exited back past that curtain.
Wow.
And then she'd get back up and make more tuna sandwiches.
There you go.
There you go, Doug, right there, brother. You are now hooked up and dialed in.
See, my grandmother didn't like wrestling, but she loved adult films. So it just went hand in hand. No, I'm just kidding. With Val
Well,
Venis,
that was
she
out
made
of
that.
left field.
Yeah, I was just playing with you. But yeah, everybody, I've noticed that too. It seems like most of the top stars from that era, we've had Mark Henry say it, you're saying it now, their grandmothers were huge wrestling fans, or their first memory was hanging out with their grandparents watching wrestling. And that's always fascinating when you talk to most of the stars from that era. It wasn't their parents, it was their grandparents that got them into it.
Yeah, for me, it was my uncle.
Oh, okay.
It was my uncle. He was a massive wrestling fan. But of course, his mother, which was my grandmother, she wasn't so much into wrestling. She was just into Ricky Steamboat.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to tell Ricky Steamboat that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
Oh yeah. Finally got to meet him many years later and told him.
That's
about
really
that.
cool. Tom Tuckwell in Canada, to Tom in Black, IC champ.
All right, to Tom.
Mike Ferrara wants to know if Val will wrestle for ISPW. I don't know. That would be a question that would have to be asked to the boss, Tommy Fierro. Good luck with that. 80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. Van Vader wants to know, do you recall any backstage brawls between anyone? If that's too sensitive, we appreciate your concern. Who was the biggest troublemaker / ribber?
I would say, so I would separate that. I would say the biggest ribber while he was alive was Owen Hart, hands down. But
We always
Owen
have people
Hart,
asking about Owen, yep.
but Owen Hart was always of the, he didn't cause harm. His ribs were actually good ribs. A guy that would rib a lot, but could, I guess, I wouldn't say cause harm, but it could definitely be looked at that way. It could be spun that way very easily. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
If you really wanted to make a little bit of it wouldn't require much of a stretch to go from what it really was to, this is a little over the...
I think I know who you're going to say.
And that would be John Bradshaw Lee.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to
John
say Kurt
Bradshaw.
Hennig, Mr. Perfect.
Well, here was the thing with Kurt Hennig. By the time I met Kurt Hennig, he was, I guess, kind of matured.
Okay.
He was more matured.
Okay.
And so I didn't know him back in the day but I've heard the stories.
Yeah.
I've heard the stories. And that's not the Kurt Hennig I knew. By the time I got to meet Kurt Hennig, he was a lot more mature in doing business.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Can you give us a quick Owen Hart one of your favorites?
One of my favorites from Owen Hart. Well, let's get rid of this one here
Okay.
first. So, Tom, there you go, brother. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. So, I'll tell you one that Owen Hart did to me.
Okay.
So we had a house show in, I can't remember what city it was, but I know after the house show, by the time we all got back to the hotel, it was late. We had to get up really early in the morning to fly to St. Louis.
Okay.
And so there wasn't a lot of time to sleep. I think we all had like maybe an hour and a half of sleep before we had to get up and get to the airport. And so when we landed in St. Louis, the plan was we always had the Marriott Hotel right across from the St. Louis airport that gave all the talent a really good deal on hotel rooms every time we performed in St. Louis. So our plan was land in St. Louis, get the rental car, go over to the hotel, check in, and crash out for a few more hours.
Gotcha.
Before we had to go to the gym and then go to the arena and perform that night. And so I was riding with Test and A-Train at the time. We flew into St. Louis. We rented the car. We went across the street to the Marriott. And by the time we had gotten there, there's a lineup of guys checking in. It's just all the wrestlers, right? But all the fans know that's where we stay.
Okay.
So there's hundreds of fans here. And they're all, going up and down the line. Hey, can you sign this? Can you sign that? So, kids are coming up and we're signing autographs while I'm waiting in line. I had Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart right behind me. And so in the whole melee of waiting in this line, signing autographs while we're waiting to get up and check in, this one cat comes up to me and he had a stack of Val Venis pictures about that thick.
Boy.
And he goes, "Hey Val, can you sign these for me?" And he had this long black stringy hair and I'm looking at it and I'm going, it's one of those things, hey dude, if you're gonna make me sit down and sign all these, you have to pay me.
Exactly.
I'll sign kids stuff here and what people are coming up with one or two, and I ain't signing a whole stack of Val Venis pictures
So
for
he
you.
can
That's a
profit
business
off of
deal,
it.
right?
Exactly.
That's a business deal we gotta work out here. So anyways, kind of shuttled him away and just kept signing for the kids, and then got up to the front, got checked in, went up to my room, and I'm dead tired. So just as I lay my head on the pillow and I start to fall asleep, the phone rings. And I pick up the phone and I go, "Hello." And the guy on the other line says, "When you say you're gonna come down here and sign my autographs after you go to your room, you need to honor that and come down and sign those autographs." Well, I went, "Dude, don't you ever call my room ever again." Boom, and slammed the phone down. I just immediately assume it's the guy with the long stringy hair and the stack of pictures.
As any normal person would assume.
Right. And he calls me right back. And now I'm getting really angry. Now I'm not half asleep, I'm wide awake. And I pick up the phone and I go, "Hello." He goes, "I'm a big man, you won't get by me." Well, I flipped out. I went, "Oh yeah, wait down there." Boom, and I slammed the phone down. And I threw my clothes on so fast. Race. I didn't even wait for the elevator. When I raced out of the hallway, I just started flying down the stairs, like just handrailing and jumping and handrailing and just leaping all the way down. I was up like 5 or 6 floors. Got down into the hallway of the lobby, ran towards the lobby, and by this time, all the boys have checked in. All the fans have left. And I'm running down to the lobby. I'm looking around, and I see Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett sitting on one of the bar stools, but the bar is closed. It's early in the morning. They're just sitting on the stool. They're the only ones there. And I said, "Jeff, Owen, did you guys see a guy with long stringy hair and a stack of autographed pictures?" He goes, "Oh yeah, he ran out that front door." So I go running out the front door, and I'm looking out in the parking lot for this guy. Didn't find anything. So I'm like, damn it. So I go back upstairs to my room. 6 months later, I'm in Toronto, and I was doing a TV show with Edge called Off the Record.
Okay.
And so we're getting ready to do an episode of Off the Record, and we're sitting there in the studio, and Edge gets a message from Owen Hart. This is like 6 months later.
Wow, talk about letting it cook.
Yeah, it gets like 6 months later, and Edge gets the text, and it's basically Owen saying, "Hey, tell Val now that it was me that called him in St. Louis." So right before where we're starting to record, I'm all nice, calm, cool, and collective. Edge goes, "Hey, Val," and I go, "What's up?" He goes, "Remember St. Louis when that guy, called your room and pissed you off?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "That was Owen Hart," and I went, I got so mad. I was so mad.
And now we're live.
So mad. Yeah, I was so mad. I was right before we were going, man. It was.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I was so mad right before we're going on the air. Oh,
Talk about cerebral when it comes to ribbing. I mean, he really let that marinate. For a while.
Yes, he did. Yeah, and he waited right till it was about going live on the air too. And
that's great. Next up, we got Darren Wilshire from the United Kingdom. Black to Darren.
Black, and it's to Darren out in the UK. You know, the UK's got a strong stench of taxation as well. Let me tell you. God bless the people that live in the UK and have to live under that kind of oppressive taxation. It's just terrible for you guys. Just terrible. But they do have good pubs for
there
people
you go.
that drink, that's for sure.
There you go. Everybody's got something.
Everybody's got something.
80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. We're here with Val Venis till about 10 p.m.
All right, Darren out in the UK. There you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There you go. Next up, we got Rich Melber. He wants Black to Rich. Hello, ladies. 2 times IC champion.
You betcha. To Rich. Hello, ladies.
God bless you off camera. Corey Anhorn wants to know if you ever wrestled in Saskatchewan.
I have wrestled in Saskatchewan. Not a lot, though. It's we didn't go to Saskatchewan all that much.
I believe that's where Bret Hart won the world title for the first time against Ric Flair. Wasn't that in Saskatchewan?
It might have been.
I remember that was a huge deal at the time.
Now, Bret Hart, in my view, is a guy that would epitomize this title right here.
Oh, without a doubt.
Definitely.
Without
That's
a
a
doubt.
guy that when Bret Hart holds that title, you know he's the workhorse of WWE. When he holds the world title, you know they're trying to paint him as an entertainer.
There you go.
All right, Rich, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
And I remember all those matches. I used to always go to the house shows here at the Meadowlands, and there was just something about every night Bret Hart got in that ring, you felt like, oh my God, they're going to kill him. The way he would sell the knee injury.
Oh,
And,
he
was
sold
just
so
such
amazing.
a great babyface.
Yes.
It really was.
Absolutely.
Next up, Kyle Marker in Connecticut, just signature, WWF IC champion in black.
Okay, so just singer. You guys want me to put 2 Kyle?
Yeah, I guess just the signature and WWF IC champion.
You betcha. All right.
80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in here with Val Venis till about 10 p.m. We're going to have the next couple of weeks off. And then we return on July 26th with Dean Malenko. Lots of great signings coming up in August and through October.
And who's that? That's Kyle. All right, Kyle, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Jeremy Sidlowski in Ohio. Black to Jeremy.
All right. To Jeremy.
Jeremy Luckhart says, Val, you're the man. We got to get you back in Ontario once this crap is over.
Yeah, Ontario's still locked down, man. This is terrible.
Terrible, terrible.
Terrible what they're doing up there in Canada. All right, Jeremy, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, Jim Newbert in New York, black, just signature, and WWF IC champion.
You bet.
Brian Santoro wants to know if you had a chance to wrestle Mr. Perfect. I believe you did, actually.
I did, yeah. I got to wrestle Mr. Perfect. That was, and that was on the fly as well. I wasn't scheduled to wrestle him at that point in time.
Tell the story behind that, Val?
What's
You
that?
said it was on the fly. Can you tell us the story behind that?
Say again, sorry?
You said it was on the fly. Can you tell us the story of how it was on the fly?
Oh, yeah. It was one of those things where when I first walked into the arena and I saw the card, I was I can't remember who it was. I was scheduled to wrestle, but it was somebody on Heat, and but it was a non-contract guy. And probably about an hour and a half or so before showtime, I got called to the back, and they were saying, "Hey, we're gonna put you with Kurt. You guys are gonna do a match tonight." And I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
awesome! First time I ever wrestled." So,
Yeah, because I'm sure the excitement of wanting to work with him,
Oh yeah, he was a guy that I looked up to, coming through the ranks.
and you find out right off the bat, like, okay, now it's go time.
Yeah, like an hour and a half before the show was getting ready to start. So
So you're going from working a local to Perfect, who you probably grew up watching.
yeah,
How
yeah.
great was
And at that time, I'd hung out with Kurt quite a bit, but I never got in the ring with him. You know what I mean? So that was the very first time I was going to
Sounds
get in the
awesome,
ring with him.
right?
Yeah. So yeah, that was a little bit of a treat, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys that especially when he carried this title, I was like, yeah, I gotta walk and talk just like that guy right there. Because let's face it, Kurt Angle knew what he was doing in that ring,
Sure.
and his confidence showed. Like he just oozed out of every pore. He walked to the ring, you saw the confidence, and when you saw him work, whether it was a drop kick or an arm drag or just a simple arm bar, he made it believable.
Now at that
Every
time,
step he took.
at that time, the Attitude Era was so over, and Perfect was helping elevate some of the younger guys.
Yeah.
And obviously, he knew that you were over at that point. How cool was it for you, growing up watching him, for him to come in and help you out at that time?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And it was the fact that he may have been in his prime, several years before I got there, but whether he was in his prime or not, he was still wrestling the same.
Sure.
He'd still go,
Was he like 41, 42 at the time?
something like that,
Still
yeah.
down
And
there,
he could still go full tilt, and it was he didn't miss a beat, and it was an honor to work with him. It really was an honor. I wish I could have done a whole year angle with him.
Sure.
That would have been awesome, but that wasn't in the cards at that point in
Well,
time.
at least you got to experience some fun ribs, though, too.
Yes, that I did. Yes, I did.
Tim Stockton wants to know, can I order one right now? Of course you can, Tim. How do I order? It's our first time here. This is great. Well, welcome aboard, Tim. 80swrestlingcon.com. Place that order right now for Val Venis, and he'll sign it and give you a shout-out and say this.
All right, Jim, there you go, buddy. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
There you go. Now, I don't know if you're going to answer this question or not. If you choose not to, that's fine. I mean, you're a very outspoken guy. Jeremy Luckhart says, who would you say was the hardest talent to work with and/or did not really like to work with? Was there anybody that you worked with that you were like, as it was going on, or maybe looking back on it now?
Not really. I think pretty much everybody I ever got in the ring with, something always gelled. There'd be some issues with timing in some cases, but nothing so out of whack that I would say, oh, that just sucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There were a couple of guys that it took us a few matches to get our timing to mesh, but it wasn't like there was anything in those few beginning matches that was so out of place that people would go, oh, that didn't look good. It still all looked really good, but for the performers in the ring, like for myself and the guy I was working with, we could tell when we got back into the locker room, our timing was off a little here. How do you step for this? You just get aware of what each other's quirks are in the ring. And within 2, 3, sometimes four matches, all of a sudden, you guys, doesn't matter. You don't even need to have anything planned. You just go out there and just work and gel.
Especially with being on the road for all the house shows at the time, because the house show schedule back then was still very, very busy.
It was very, very busy. We didn't get a lot of time at home. I mean, by the time you got home, you had enough time to do laundry, pay bills, get a couple extra hours of sleep than you normally would on the road, and then you're right back out on the road again. So it's one of those things where back in that Attitude Era, man, it was go, 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 go.
Yeah.
There was really no break. There was no off season.
Which is why we talked about it last week with Rikishi, and you had mentioned earlier when we first got here tonight that you still like to get out of the house every once in a while, because even though you appreciate the time at home, after not having it for so long, it just becomes ingrained in you to be on that road, sleeping in hotels. So it's got to be a little weird to adjust.
That it is. It's being on the road for the first few years, especially when you're young, it's a hell of a lot of fun. Once I guess there's also a maturing process in there as well. Things that I liked in my early 20s, While I was on the road wrestling, you never catch me. You never catch me in bars now. I just don't do that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of a maturing process involved with what happens when you're younger in the wrestling business and what happens when you're older. Now, that's not true for all the talent. There are some guys that go hog wild in their early 20s, and now they're 70 years old, and they're still going hog wild. Ain't nothing changed. There you go.
There's only one name that comes to mind when you think about that. But
the guy's a machine, isn't he? Holy mackerel.
I'm only 38, and I looked at how much I've calmed down over the last couple of years. So when I see people that can still keep up that schedule, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I say, oh man. And now, especially with the pandemic ending, and as a stand-up comic, everything going from 0 to 100 miles per hour, no work for a year to working every night, one of the things that pushes me through it is thinking about what you guys went through. Because I said, you know what, at least I'm not getting hit with chairs and body slammed and beat up. So I could also come home most nights and sleep in my own bed, and that's invaluable.
Yes, absolutely. That is invaluable. You hit the nail on the head with that one. That was, once I left full-time wrestling, sleeping in my own bed every night was, that was like a dream come true right there. Finally, right?
Yeah, no, well, we're glad to have Val Venis here. Like you said, these are rare appearances for him. He's involved in other industries that take up a lot of his time. 80swrestlingcon.com. Place those orders. We're going to be here with Val Venis till about 10 p.m. We have lots of questions and comments that we can get to. Going to be scrolling up to look for something. Emil Menard says this is a very exciting one, but it is so hard to watch this and explain to my kids about Val's character.
That it is.
How entertaining it was without showing them the family-friendly clips. Yeah, that is one of the things, too. So I can understand both sides of the equation, right? There were some of the promos that, when I was a 15-year-old male, I watched you deliver them. I saw the vignettes. And, of course, because I'm a 15-year-old male, there's a reason Jim Ross always used to say, sophomore class trip. It was very enjoyable. I do not have kids presently, but I could see how, in today's current climate, how do you explain that to your 5 or 6 year old?
Yeah, that's definitely, and that's why if you go back and you take a look at Raw, most of Raw I would be on in the second hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Vince wanted a couple of things that you could still cater to the younger crowd, but have something that the older crowd's going to understand, while the young ones, it just goes right over their head.
Yeah.
So that with the jokes, it was always a double entendre with it.
Well, and one of the things, too, is I remember that infamous promo that ushered in the Attitude Era with Vince McMahon saying, it's not just good guy versus bad guy. We don't want to insult your intelligence. And it is true, because look at what was being broadcast to the mainstream everywhere at that time. You couldn't turn on the TV past 9 o'clock at night without seeing 5 Girls Gone Wild infomercials.
Yeah.
The Jerry Springer show during the day.
Yep.
Afternoon talk shows. So really, it was just pro wrestling, art imitating life. Just like in the 80s when you had Slaughter and Iron Sheik to go with what was going on in the world.
Yep.
You had Val Venis to show what was going on in the world in many ways too.
Oh, absolutely. The character. Well, so it was Vince Russo that eventually, that originally came up with the Val Venis character. And on an interesting note, I just found out about the genesis of the Val Venis character probably about a year and a half ago, I guess it was.
Okay.
I was talking with Vince Russo, and I always thought it came from Vince McMahon. And he watched Boogie Nights and thought Dirk Diggler, Val Venis, that works.
Yeah.
That's the impression I had of how the Val Venis character came about. In reality, when I asked Russo about it, he said, do you remember the time we flew you up from Mexico City, because I was wrestling in Mexico City at the time, and they flew me up for a couple of days to Connecticut to the TV studio to do several vignettes. So I'd film them all in 2 days, and they would play over several weeks leading up to my debut. But right after I was done filming those vignettes, I flew back to Mexico, because I still had about 6 months left on my contract in Mexico City.
Okay.
And so while those vignettes were playing up here, I was down there still performing under a mask. And the one thing that I think Vince really pushed forward with this was when he was driving me from the TV studio, from the towers to the TV studio, he saw that politically he could have assumed I was conservative.
Okay.
But he was sitting there as he's driving, and he said he kept turning over and looking at me. And, you know, we were talking politics or whatever, and he's not into politics. Well, he wasn't back then. I guess he is more so now. But back then he wasn't. But he kept, everything I was saying, he kept looking over at me, and I'm saying the most conservative things, and he's thinking, this guy looks like a porn star. So this is a guy that's assuming I'm just as conservative as can be. He's going to give me the most liberal character you
There
could
you
possibly
go.
lay on a guy.
Yeah.
But he
Break
thought,
you out of your comfort zone, why not?
right. Well, you know, I still had that long hair back in a ponytail at the time, and he said he just kept looking over at me. He didn't say anything to me there about what was going through his head. But when we got to the TV studio, he had already talked to Vince about, hey, I kept looking over at him and trying to think creatively. And the only thing I kept thinking is, he looks like a porn star. And,
Damn it, pal, I love it.
yeah, and then they came up with the name Val Venis.
Yeah.
And then at that time, they called me at 7 in the morning in Mexico City. And Vince says, it's Vince McMahon on the phone. And I go, hello. And he goes, hey, this is Vince McMahon. I'm on speakerphone with Vince Russo. We got this character that we want to throw by you. See, you know, if you feel comfortable playing this. Remember when I told you earlier, he said, if you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's when he laid it out on me.
Wow.
He goes, this character I'm about to share with you, if you don't feel comfortable playing this character, you got to say no, because if you don't feel comfortable, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
And he laid it out kind of in steps. The first thing he said was, the character's name's Val Venis. I go, okay. And he goes, the last name is spelled Venis. And I go, Venis?
Let me have a second here to think this over.
Yeah, it kind of, I processed it, but I said, all right, tell me more. And he goes, now Val Venis is a former film star turned pro wrestler. And the first thing that pops into my head is Hollywood Hogan, Jesse Ventura. It's already been done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
You're thinking of feather boa.
yeah, I'm thinking this
something-
whole Hollywood gimmick, and I'm like, that's already been done. It's been played out. It's been played out by several people.
Yeah.
But two prominent ones would be, you know, Jesse Ventura and Hogan. And so he stops and he goes, actually, Val Venis is a former adult film star turned pro wrestler. And I went,
Oh boy.
adult film star, that ain't ever been done.
Yeah.
And so he told me to take 24 hours and see if you feel comfortable playing that character. And I said, you want me to play a former porn star turned pro wrestler that gets to steal the other wrestlers' wives and girlfriends? And he's like, yup. And I go, twist my arm a little harder.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And yeah, so that's how it was presented to me. And I called him back 24 hours later and said, let's do it.
And it was
It
one of
sounds
those
like
first
a fun character.
And it was one of those first characters where you couldn't really tell, is this guy a face or a heel? Because a lot of times women would be loving it when you would do the hello ladies and again the towel tour, and the men were laughing their asses off. at the
Laughing their
promos you were
asses
cutting.
off, yeah. Well, that's an interesting note that you bring up there, because Vince had in his mind that Val Venis was going to be a heel character right from the get-go. So just like you said there, the plan was to go out there and design my double entendre jokes to piss off the husbands and the boyfriends and put over their women.
Yeah.
And it was a weird time in pro wrestling, because you got to remember Stone Cold Steve Austin was getting massive at that point.
Yeah.
And what was he doing? He was giving the finger to authority.
Yes.
So people were living life somewhat vicariously through, you know, Stone Cold. You know, they can't go give their bosses the finger, but Stone Cold can give his boss the finger.
100%.
And so it was a weird time in wrestling, because if you had have gone 10 years before that, Stone Cold's exact character would have been considered a heel. At this point in time, it was considered a babyface. So we already knew it was a weird time in pro wrestling in its relationship with wrestling fans. When I came out, the idea just to be a heel, I went out there and cutting promos that, you know, basically snub my nose at the boyfriends and the husbands, and, you know, put over their girlfriends and their wives. And for some odd reason, the boyfriends and the husbands loved it.
Exactly.
And the women loved it. And so we tried it a couple of times. It was a couple of nights we went out and tried it. Vince was just shaking his head. He's going, I don't understand these fans. He goes, "You're supposed to be a heel and you're getting to be a big baby face right now." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you." And sure enough, we just ran with the whole baby face thing, and it ran from there. It just took off from there.
I was at SummerSlam '98 when you came out for the match against D'Lo Brown. You cut that promo, and I've been to the Garden for many events, from house shows to TV to pay-per-views, and it was one of the biggest pops that I've ever heard for a non-surprise pop. Like, okay, here's a guy just coming to the ring to wrestle his match before you even got the microphone. It was a surreal experience, and, and it was great because it was nothing. It was completely organic.
Yes.
None of it wasn't any canned catchphrases. After the "Hello, ladies," you never knew where you were going to take us with those promos, and I miss those days.
Yeah. Those are fun times.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Next up, we got Robert Love Blue.
Robert Love and
Robert.
Blue. All right. Yeah, those are definitely good times. I remember SummerSlam '98, and when I walked out to the ring, you're right, that pop, it shook my soul. I was like, holy crap.
Exactly.
It was amazing. No question.
Ryan Martinez coming in with some more good questions. Did Vince Russo or anyone else in creative ever pitch anything to you that you flat out rejected? And if yes, what was it? Or were there things that you were uncomfortable with, maybe, that you had to be talked into a little bit?
No, not really.
Okay.
I will say this, Vince Russo, in his creative job, was pushing the envelope as far as he possibly could, and then Vince McMahon, who has to approve everything, would kind of put Vince Russo on a chain, and Vince Russo would go way off to the last link of that chain, and then Vince would pull him back
Yeah.
to where he wants him.
Yeah.
And so there were things that Vince Russo came up with that I went, "Oh, if Vince approves that, oh, we're gonna get so banned from networks if he approves that." But sure enough,
It would be
it would be pulled back. Yeah, but I was very surprised at how willingly Vince Russo was willing to take something that was way over the top envelope pushing to Vince for approval.
Well, because I think
You know?
I think Vince probably had him for that purpose.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
exactly.
They were a good team together.
They really
Yes, Yes, absolutely.
They really were. I think that, when you have that position of power and you're going to be in a creative situation, you want somebody that's not going to kiss your ass, for lack of a better term. That's not going to be
Yes.
afraid to go that extra mile. But
There you go, Robert. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in, my friend.
there you go. Next up, we got Anthony DeSimone in New York. Red Just Signature.
Red. You think Red's going to show up on there?
I guess maybe he's doing it on the arm, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm mentioning that myself.
All right.
Travis Babcock, there you go. That kind of answers your question. What are your thoughts on Vince Russo? Seems like Val looks at him as somebody who was a very positive influence on his career. A lot of people paying compliments about how fun this is and how cool and down to earth Val Venis is.
Well, thank you, fellas and ladies. That's tremendous to hear from y'all. All right, and that's for Anthony. Anthony, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
All right, next up, Peter Patrone in nearby Keyport, New Jersey. He wants in silver to Giovanna. Hello,
silver.
ladies. So like we were just talking before about how the boyfriends and husbands loved it, looks like that might be a gift. for the
Yes, it
partner.
does.
To
Excellent.
Giovanna. Hello,
All right.
ladies. Kareem Samuel says you will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Well, Kareem, you would think, right? But it
Well-
seems like you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I've got some pretty strong political positions that I don't think jive with a lot of people in the wrestling business these days.
Well, that was another question that I actually wanted to ask in the beginning of the evening, but we got sidetracked. And hey, we got sidetracked with all good stuff. This has been a lot of fun. Were you very vocal about your political opinions even back then in the locker room? Because we've always heard the stories about how Jesse Ventura was very outspoken in the locker room about his politics. Is that something that kind of you delved into after your career had ended? Or?
No, I was very much. I've been into politics since I was 18 years old. After I read the book called Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, and so I was never political before that. That novel made me look at government, the relationship between private sector human beings and government sector human beings, in a completely different light than what I was taught all through school, through the media, through Hollywood. And from that point, I just developed a passion for what the heck is all this about?
Yeah.
And when you start diving into the genesis of all these programs that government comes up with, and you really start to discover a lot of corruption, and then you start to look at your paycheck about how much money's being fed into that corruption.
Yeah.
These people should be in jail, a lot of them. And so you start asking questions when you become passionate about it. So there were two guys in WWE that every TV, every pay-per-view, we would sit down for hours and discuss issues in politics, and that was Kane and Al Snow.
Wow. Okay.
And so, yeah, constantly, through my whole time there, we talked politics, the entire time I was there.
There you go.
All right, this is Giovanna, there you go, my friend. Oh, this one's for Peter.
Well,
he's going to give it to you,
He's
Giovanna.
going to give it to Giovanna.
Yes, there you go, my friend Peter. You are now hooked up and dialed in. I hope that gets you a little sexy time.
Well, there you go. Kenny Ford in New Jersey, Silver. Hello, ladies.
All right, Silver, and just hello, ladies.
Yep.
All right.
Jeremy Luckhart with a question that I don't know if you'll be able to answer based on what you told us about your knowledge of the current wrestling product, but maybe you could take a stab at it anyway. Jeremy Luckhart says, what advice would you give to an inspiring wrestler in today's society? So do you feel that you could still comment on what a guy or girl should do to make it currently?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a couple things, especially in this climate, you want to be able to do. First of all, you got to ask yourself, is this something you can see yourself doing as a career for the rest of your working time on this rock flying through space called Earth? Mm-hmm. And so you got to ask yourself, do you have the desire to want it? And when you're asking yourself that question, understand that you got to look deeply into the work that's involved just to get somewhere in pro wrestling, let alone become a talent in one of the biggest companies in the world. There's a lot of work involved, and that's true for any dream that you want to chase after. But you want to make sure you truly have the desire to want it. Then you got to ask yourself, and you got to be honest with yourself when you're asking yourself these questions. Talk to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Do you have the desire to want it? The true passion to develop a career in pro wrestling? The second question you want to ask is, do you have the strength to endure the challenge of becoming a professional wrestler? If you can answer yes to that, do you have the attitude to become it? So you want desire, strength, and attitude, right? You want all those three things. And then I would say the fourth question you want to ask yourself is, can you honestly be committed to making it happen? And being committed means, oh, there's the 4 a.m. wake-up call to go to the gym. Oh, I'm going to hit the 5-minute snooze button. No, that's not commitment. When that 4 a.m. alarm goes off, are you committed enough to, no matter how much sleep you got, even if it was only 30 minutes of sleep, are you committed enough to get up and go after that dream and get your butt to the gym? So desire, strength, attitude, and commitment. You want to have a conversation with yourself and ask yourself those 4 questions and be honest in how you answer yourself. If you can do that and you can get into that gym and you can grind, because it's a grind, man. Grind nonstop, consistently being committed to the game, then you definitely can take this piece of advice. Don't talk about politics, especially in this climate.
There you go.
You need your social media to promote your character that you're developing in the wrestling world. And believe me, the big tech, if you start bringing up politics, take from a guy that's got a lot of experience in getting banned and suspended and shadow banned. Don't talk politics. You need that reach to get to your fan base, to get to other promoters. So, if politics is important in human life, unfortunately, you got to be able to feed yourself. And, don't talk politics if you want to make money in this business. So ask yourself those 4 questions. Do you have the desire, the strength, the attitude, and the commitment to achieve what it is you dream of becoming? And then if the answer is yes to those 4 questions, and you're truly committed and you're truly grinding every single day you get up, and grind a little closer towards that dream, just remember, don't talk politics.
There you go.
Don't talk politics. Not in this climate. people's minds are gone, man. They hear you say something they don't agree with. Oh, Instagram report, boom. And the next thing you know, you're suspended from Instagram that you just used to get bookings from 4 different bookers.
There you go.
So, don't talk politics.
So there you go. After all of that, don't talk politics.
Don't talk politics. It's a shame that we should, because politics is important to everyone's life.
Yeah.
We should be able to freely discuss politics amongst each other without banning each other. But that's not
not
what's
the way the world
reality
works.
in today's climate, man. It's just not a reality. All right, Kenny, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Tom Teller in Pennsylvania, silver. Hello, ladies, WWF IC champion.
All right, and no name on this, right? Just signing. Or does he want it to Tom?
No, hello, ladies,
this,
and
all right.
WWF IC champion.
All right.
Corey Walker wants to know, what were your thoughts on the wellness policy when it was implemented? I know a lot of guys have differing opinions on this. A lot of people feel that there was some hypocrisy involved with the wellness policy. A lot of people feel that overall it's a good thing. Where does Val Venis stand on the WWE wellness policy?
There are some things I would change in it, that's for sure. But I think the wellness policy has had a positive effect in the locker room. Back during the Attitude Era, and even more so before the Attitude Era, man, I can't tell you how many friends I've lost to prescription drugs, mostly prescription drugs, alcohol. There's a few cases of alcohol poisoning, but I think when WWE brought in the wellness policy, it was definitely a step in the right direction. They are a private company; they can do whatever it is they want. I do think there's room for some further improvement in the wellness policy. Different, changes in what they test for and things like that. But overall, I would say that the wellness policy has shown that WWE, they're in the, let's face it, they're a corporation, they're there to make money. And that's an important aspect. We have to look at profit as something that is a reward for providing a product or a service to other human beings. And in this case, WWE is supplying what the fans want. They want entertainment.
Yeah.
And so WWE supplies them the kind of entertainment they want, need, and desire. And the profit that WWE makes for that in a free market is the reward for providing humanity with what they want, need, and desire in the form of entertainment. I think implementing the wellness policy and helping to incentivize the talent to take better care of their health clearly has had a very beneficial effect, especially over the last several years. You don't see the kind of untimely deaths
The way you
that
are.
we saw in the past.
Exactly.
And so, they still have their issues. People still get addicted to things, but it's at a much less level now. I think it's had a positive effect. But like anything, there's still improvements that can be
And it's
had.
always interesting to read about what a lot of the fans say on the internet. I mean, I know there's a lot of garbage out there, a lot of trolls, but I always laugh when I see some of these current fans say things like, oh, these guys nowadays, all they want to do is play video games in their hotel room. Yeah, well, how many of their mentors did they watch die?
Exactly. That's exactly
if
it.
that's what's going to happen, that they're going to now go in their room and play video games, maybe that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
I agree.
so-
Technology has made it so when people are on the road, when the guys are on the road, they have much more, I guess you could say, I was going to say safe things to engage in, I guess you
Exactly.
could say. All right, Tom, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Jim Newbert here in New Jersey, silver WWF IC champion and just signature. Matt Stevens says,
right.
This is awesome. Thank you, Val. Ryan, you are a great host as always. Oh, thank you, Matt. Tommy, thank you again for making this opportunity for us fans. Well, thank you, Matt, for being a part of it. We can't do these without you, the fans. 80swrestlingcon.com. Place your order. Going to be here with Val Venis till about 10 p.m. I believe the store will be open till about 9:30 or so get those orders in.
All right, Jim, there you go, buddy. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Nigel Edgington wants to know if you have any memories of the Hulkamania tour.
Yes, very good memories, by the way. That was actually a very fun tour for me. I hung out with Godfather pretty much the entire time. I love being on the road with Godfather, and for those of you in the know, you know why. But
Look it up. Google it.
yeah, Google it. There was some. That was a great tour. What a tour they put together there. Now I'm not sure what happened with the whole business dealings after the fact. Kind of got varying stories on that, but so I don't know factually what happened afterwards. But that 3-week tour was one of the funnest tours I've ever been on. It was such a fun tour.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, you're getting to bring wrestling to fans, and I've said this at so many of the signings, you know, guys like our 80s Wrestling Con catering manager, Ian Levy, Tommy Fierro, everybody here, we grew up spoiled because we lived here in northern Jersey. We could go to Philly, see shows at the Spectrum. We could go to the Meadowlands, William Patterson College, you know, at Madison Square Garden. So to get to see these countries that don't get to experience wrestling the way that we do, it's got to just be a completely different energy when you get out there.
Oh yeah, you get massive pops. You know, it's the first time that they're seeing that kind of thing. Now, mind you, I had already been to Australia on a few different occasions with WWE. We did tours over there, but when I went over with WWE, it's a grind. You don't have really time to see anything. You know. You're landing in one city, you got to get to the hotel, you got to get to the arena, do the show, get on the bus, go to the next city, get checked into the hotel, get to the arena, do the show. It's just nonstop, and then the next thing you know, you finish the show, you might have one evening where you can chill out, and then you fly back to the States. When I went there during the Hulkamania tour, this is after WWE, we had 6 shows. No, was it 6 shows? I think it was 6 shows. And we were there for almost 3 weeks. And or at least I was anyways. And so we had a lot of downtime in between shows. And you got to experience Australia. You got to experience the sights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and hanging out with Godfather going places was it was a lot of fun. That's why being to Australia and working and going on a working kind of / vacation to Australia were 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
You know, that Hulkamania tour, the funnest tour I ever had down in Australia.
That's one of the saddest things that I hear from a lot of guys about the traveling is that, you know, they've been to some of these amazing places and they didn't get to really take any of it in and enjoy it. So it's nice that you were able to get back and get to enjoy that. Next up, we got Robert Love in California, Green. Hello, ladies. The big Val Boski.
All right.
80sWrestlingCon.com. This has been one of the most engaging signings we've had yet. We've been going nonstop since we started with Val Venis at 7 p.m. A lot of questions that are being asked have been asked already or have been covered throughout the conversation. Don't forget, you can go to 80sWrestlingCon.com and see this full 3-hour signing in its entirety within the next couple of days. You can also check out all the past signings we've had, see everything that's going to be coming up in the future. We're going to be back on July 26th with Man of 1,000 Holds, Dean Malenko. Look at that. That green pops.
All right, Robert. There you go, brother. I was just about to say that, my friend. I like that green on that black right there. That looks dope. I'm digging that. There you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. Yeah, I do like that.
Angie Giuliata, or Gugliata. I apologize for butchering it, but she's in nearby Piscataway, New Jersey. Black to Angie, the big Val Boski.
All right.
80sWrestlingCon.com. Get your orders in. We're hanging out with Val Venis. We were hanging out with his good friend Rikishi, along with Samu last week for the Head Shrinkers signing. Lots of history between Rikishi and Val Venis. If you have access to the Peacock streaming service, check out Fully Loaded 2000. The steel cage match for the Intercontinental Championship, Rikishi versus Val Venis. I rewatched it last night. Very, very enjoyable match. Check that out.
Yeah, that was history in the making right there.
No doubt.
That was history in the making. All right, Angie, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. I got to get T-shirts to say that.
There you go. All right, we're going to go to...
I say it to all our customers down at our shop in Arizona. Give them their stuff, bag it up. You've been hooked up and dialed in.
William D. Michelle in Easton, Pennsylvania. Black Hello Ladies. So I'm assuming he just wants the signature along with Hello Ladies.
You bet.
Travis Babcock with a great question that I was planning on getting to at some point tonight. So thank you for reminding me, Travis. Do you have any memories of the infamous Plane Ride from Hell.
No, I was not on that plane ride.
Oh, there you go.
I was not on it. I heard about it after they landed, though.
Yep, Travis, there you go, right from the horse's mouth, one of the few that was not on that Plane Ride from Hell. 80swrestlingcon.com here with Val Venis till about 10. Store will be open till around 9:30 or so. Get those orders in. And
William, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
next up, we got Joey Montero from Turlock, California. Two Joey and 2 times Intercontinental Champ.
In black, yeah, boy.
Yes, sir, in black. Scrolling up to try to catch up on some of these comments and questions. Don't forget, a lot of these were covered already. I'm going to try to get to as much as we can. We want to see that chat count jump up a little bit, so if you're watching along, feel free to share the link. Let your friends and fans know that we got Val Venis here with us tonight.
All right, Joey, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Matt Zurison in Illinois. Just signature for that.
All right.
Ashraf Ansari wants to know if you can comment on the Muhammad Hassan sympathizer angle with The Undertaker. Yeah, you were there for that when they brought in Muhammad Hassan, and I know somebody who has a lot of political opinions, this might be a good one for you to give your take on. You could correct me if I'm wrong, let's see if I have this correct. There was something that was done with The Undertaker, with Muhammad Hassan, that offended a lot of people, and the character was then done away with, kind of killed off. Am I following that correctly?
Yes, if I remember correctly, it had something to do with all the henchmen outside. I don't know exactly.
Ryan Martinez, do you remember?
The way they were dressed.
The day that it aired was right around the time of the London bombing.
Oh,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
The London bombing. There you go, Matt. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
It's amazing how something that could be completely coincidental could really just derail someone's career like that.
Yeah. His he went right out the door after that. And was he the greatest wrestler in the world? Absolutely not. But I mean, you could get. He was still relatively new to the industry, you know. He probably could have grown. He was a great athlete. He probably could have grown into a really good wrestler. He could do the basics. But man, what a way to get short-circuited.
I know.
Have something happen in real life that just puts this storyline, just make it too much. It's just too much. You got to pull it. At that point in time, would you really risk continuing on with that storyline when this event really happened in real life?
Yeah, and there's been several instances over the years in which that's happened with storylines because of real-life scenarios that kind of upend everything.
Yeah.
Next up in the UK, we got Kane Pierce, black to Kane.
You betcha.
People are now pointing out in the chat that Muhammad Hassan is now a high school principal. I remember reading that.
I heard that, yeah. He's now a high school principal.
And Travis Babcock pointing out that he's wrestled a few matches in the last few years. We found out from Val Venis tonight that he might wrestle again in the near future. He's not against it. Not
against
to it.
Not against it.
Would you ever see yourself going back to a full-time run anywhere?
Not a full-time run. I mean, never say never, but I have no intention of it at this point in time, no.
Well, it's good to know that you have that mindset where, never say never, but a lot of people just seem that they can't get it out of their system, and you seem content and happy with everything that you have going on.
Yeah, definitely. That's true. I'm not against, going out and perform. I just can't do it full-time anymore.
Yeah.
It's not that I shouldn't say I can't. It's not something that I have any desire to do.
There you go.
But do a few matches. I miss performing.
Yeah.
I really don't miss traveling. All right, Kane, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. It looks like this is going to the UK.
Yep.
So, hopefully they don't charge you duties on that.
Next up, Fernando Bori in nearby New Jersey, so there won't be any duties on this one. Silver, hello ladies, and two-time IC champ.
All right.
Ariel Capellan, we talked quite a bit about Chief Morley earlier on when we first went on the air. So in the next couple of days, go to 80swrestlingcon.com, watch the replay of this signing, and you'll hear all about Val Venis' thoughts on the Chief Morley character. 80swrestlingcon.com, get those orders in. Share this link. Let's drive those numbers up. There could be wrestling fans scrolling on Facebook. They come across Val Venis on their screen. They want to get a picture. They go to 80swrestlingcon.com, place an order. So feel free to share this link with your feed.
All right, Fernando, there you go, my friend. You are another satisfied human being that is officially hooked up and dialed in.
There you go. Next up, Marshall Hodge in Tennessee. Silver to Marshall.
To Marshall.
Orders are still coming in. Don't forget, here with Val Venis till 10 o'clock. Stores open till 9:30.
You guys ever had Ric Flair up here?
I've met him at past conventions, but no, he has not done a Monday Night Virtual yet.
All right, Marshall. You, my friend, are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Being a free market guy, I think I know where this is going to go. Are WWE contracted talent employees or independent contractors? And to add to that, were you vocal about your opinion on that while you were there?
I don't think in the legal world there are employees and then there are business owners. In my mind, and I'm just going by the facts I've acquired and analyzed, and I mean facts where I break down, I take the issue of, are these humans called employees? Are they really employees? And I take a look at that issue and I break it all down into its elements. And then I examine all the little elements, and when I put those elements back together, I come to the conclusion there is no such thing in real life, outside of legalese, as employees. I think every human being is a business human being. So what we consider to be a business owner is something that we've just been indoctrinated to believe in school. If you go and you build a building, a brick building, and you put a shop in there, then you're hiring employees. Well, that's not true. Everything's a business. When you look at the facts, you have a human being that's taken their capital, that's the money that they've worked for, or they've generated value somewhere in order to acquire that value. They're building homes for people, they're providing burgers for people, providing wrestling shows and entertainment for people. Whatever the case is, they've created this value. Now they want to open up a store. They go to open up that store, and now you want to come in and you want to work at that store, but really, what are you offering me?
Okay.
You're offering me your property, which is your work, your labor, your skills, and your talents. So in a real world, you're a businessman making a business deal with a businessman. I need somebody to use their work, labor, skills, and talents on this cash register 8 hours a day. Is that something we can negotiate together and make it beneficial for you, make it beneficial for me? That's a business deal. It's only a business owner employee deal in what government has created as legalese. Well, why do they want to convince you that you're an employee and not a business person? Because they want to divide people. Now they can divide you into classes. The working class, you're an employee class. The people that have the mortars and bricks, these are the business people, and they're evil. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's the way we've been indoctrinated to believe that there are business owners and employees. You can say that on paper because it's written down as legalese. But when you look at the facts, what you're calling human beings, employees, they're actually human beings with property. They have work, labor, skills, and talents. And they're free to trade those work, labor, skills, and talents to generate value with other human beings that need those work, labor, skills, and talents. So everybody is a business owner.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's what I've concluded, just looking at the facts. And but we live in a legalese world, a world that's run by lawyers and thugs. And you're an employee, and that's the business owner, and that's the way it is.
Wow.
And so I think you divide the classes, right? Now you got unions that are for the employees when they're really business owners.
I hope somebody from Congress is watching this, because if it ever does go before Congress, I think we have the man that can testify. There you
Right?
go, right there. Sometimes you just need a Canadian to come in and fix everything. So,
Well, if you think about Vince McMahon, he used his capital to develop a stage, a platform, and I developed. That's his property. I developed property of my labor, my skills, and my talents, and I nurtured those skills and talents into something that Vince McMahon can use. So we are two businessmen coming together and saying, hey, I got the talent and I got the skills to go out there and do what you need me to do. Let's work out a deal. It's a business deal. Well, that's the same as if you're going to work at McDonald's to flip burgers. Hey, man, I can flip 100 burgers an hour. You know what I mean? And cook them on, on time. I got skills that I'm trying to sell to a business owner.
Yeah.
But you get government that comes in and they go, no, you're an employee, you stay an employee. And they do that to keep people divided. And you need us, because these guys are evil. They're the business owners. You're not. You're just an employee. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And they divide people, and that's how government maintains power.
And I think the last year, especially with everybody that, especially up here in the Northeast with what's gone on with the pandemic, a lot of people that used to probably dismiss you and go, oh man, that Val Venis is out of his goddamn mind,
Oh, I
are
get that
now
all the
going,
time.
wait a minute.
That's the key
You
right
know what?
there.
I've just been sitting on my ass for a year. I still might not agree with everything he says, but you know what? Let me look into this, because now it doesn't sound as crazy 15 months after what we just went through.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. It's just breaking down the issues. When you get an issue presented and we're taught that this issue is this way, because that's the way we've just been taught and conditioned, I don't accept that. I say, okay, let's prove that that's the way this issue is, and I start breaking that issue down into all of its elements. Analyze all the elements and then put it back together, and you'd be surprised how many times I put an issue back together that is so normal in society to appear one way, but when you analyze it and put it back together, you're like, holy crap, we were lied to. All my time in school, my parents, media, Hollywood, they all lied to me about this one issue.
Because it was done to them.
It was done to them, indoctrination.
I can only imagine the conversations that went on car rides with you, Al Snow, and Kane. So
Oh yeah.
that's a
And-
podcast waiting to happen.
And A-Train every once in a while would
Okay.
jump in. A-Train would jump in every once in a while, but
Next up, we have Matthew Stevens to Matt in Black, 80swrestlingcon.com. We're having so much fun with Val Venis. He's going to be here with us till about 10 p.m. Get those orders in at 80swrestlingcon.com. Check out all the past signings we've done. Yes, I would love one. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in, leaving their questions, leaving their comments. Please feel free to share this video link with everybody on Facebook. That's how we spread the word, get it to go all around. Lots of great questions tonight. Lots of great comments.
we got Matt right here. Matt, you are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
All right, Caroline Crowley in Lynn, Massachusetts. Looks like it's a gift to Anthony in Black.
All right, to Anthony. Yeah, man, if you know someone that's got an upcoming birthday or an anniversary or a graduation and they're a big wrestling fan, get yourself a Val Boski photo for that special person in your life. It'll make them happy. Trust me, I know. All right, this one's to Anthony.
'80swrestlingcon.com. So many great signings coming up. We're going to be back on July 26th with the one and only man of 1,000 holds, Dean Malenko. Emil Menard says, I love Val's views. Well, whether you love them or don't love them, you always got to respect someone who's passionate enough to share them.
All right, Anthony, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, in Calgary, Alberta, Tyson Farish, Black to Tyson.
All right. Actually, you asked me a question earlier and something just popped into my
Sure,
head.
please.
Who would I like to work in professional wrestling today? And one name popped into my head.
Who's that?
Drew McIntyre.
Wow, I could see that.
Drew McIntyre.
I could see that being a good match.
Yeah, I've seen a few things of his on YouTube, just doing cardio and whatnot, and I was always taken back by it. He's really become a good talent.
Yeah,
Really
a lot
become
of
good
fun to
talent.
watch. And like you had mentioned earlier about Roman Reigns, I think I haven't really followed anything current in WWE since WrestleMania. But again, maybe once every other week or so, you jump on YouTube, you see the stuff that they highlight for you, and I'm really enjoying what Roman Reigns has been doing. But again, that era, I think, of the top guy will no longer be because there's so much content, so much time to fill.
That's just it, yeah.
So-
Like they're not pulling the ratings that the Attitude Era pulled, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's so many other options
Yep.
out there that are intriguing to humans.
100%.
Tyson, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Adam Pop in Michigan City, Indiana. Black to Adam, the money shot. Of course, that was
Alright.
the famous top rope splash, the finishing maneuver known as the money shot.
Yes,
I'm
it
assuming
was.
that was maybe another Vince Russo suggestion that Vince McMahon approved.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about that. So, when I started in wrestling, I'm not going to say that porn was anything that was on my radar. I didn't know anything about porn.
Okay. And in fairness, at that time, it wasn't the internet of today.
It wasn't the internet today.
In order to
yeah.
access that kind of stuff, you'd have to go to a store that usually had no windows and,
Yes.
partake. So just a little bit clarification for some of the younger people that might be watching that are like, oh, he's lying. No, it wasn't as easy to access back then.
Yeah, it wasn't as easy to access, and it just wasn't something that, I had really any interest in at the
Yeah.
time. And so when I started to make the deal with WWE, we agreed on the Val Venis character. It was a character in development. They had a general idea. The towel idea came from the very first vignette when I wrapped the towel around my waist, which was just part of the vignette.
Okay.
And Vince Russo was saying, nobody's worn a towel down to the ring before. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Let's do that. Let's keep this. So while we were filming the character, we were just adding things to it as we were going. And Vince Russo says, so you're going to do the splash off the top rope for your finish? I go, that's what I've been using in Mexico, Japan. I used it everywhere. And he goes, yeah, I think we should call it the money shot. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, boom, hit the money shot, 1, 2, 3. That spells more money. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Money shot.
Oh, so you didn't even know when you
Didn't
mentioned it.
even know what it meant
Wow.
for 3 months.
Okay.
And so, you start meeting fans, you start getting on TV, you start getting the money shot gimmick over. And, you meet fans and, you go to Denny's after a show, for example. Fans are going, can you say, I love the name of your splash, the money shot, that's great.
Because if you're
And
going to hear the
everybody would
phrase
laugh.
money shot, usually it's at a Denny's,
Right, absolutely, yeah. And so I see all these people laughing every time I say, yeah, it's called the money shot. And I didn't clue into why they were laughing. And about 3 months later, we were sitting in a hotel room with a bunch of guys, and we're just, telling wrestling stories. And the money shot thing came up, and everybody started, chuckling. And I go, why does everybody freaking laugh every time we say money shot?
Oh, boy.
And they all looked at me and going, dude, what are you talking? It was Tess. Tess looked at me and goes, dude, what are you talking about? And I'm going, every single time, man, you say something about the money shot, everybody laughs about it. He goes, bro, that's the name of your finish. And I'm like, I understand that. Why is it so funny? And they go, it's the ending of a porn film.
Yep.
And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then when they described it to me, I was like,
Uh-oh.
oh, I get why everybody's laughing now. Yeah, I had no idea. For the first 3 months, I was hitting that every single night.
There you go.
Adam, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Raymond Murray wants to know, can you ask him if it was his choice to wear white pants and right to censor because everyone else was wearing black pants? LOL.
It was suggested to wear white pants and do something different out there. Personally, I didn't give a rat's ass what color the pants were. They sucked wearing it out there. That was just the bottom line. But it was somebody in the office that suggested white pants to kind of stand out.
There you go.
And but it wasn't something that really computed much in my head. I was like, I don't care what color it is. I'm gonna sweat so bad in these. And I did.
Next up, we got Wade Bates in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, in blue.
In blue.
To Wade.
All right, to Wade.
Gavin Gray wants to know if you got to keep any of the belts that you won. We hear different things from different talent. Apparently, sometimes belts may get lost.
I never kept the belt.
Okay.
We could have gotten copies made.
Okay.
And for our own displays, I just never did. It doesn't mean I never will. I just never
Yeah.
did. It was, You know, just one of those things. Some guys go after that. I just never did.
Yeah, now, I mean, it's so funny. I talk with, everybody here at 80s Wrestling after these shows, and I remember growing up, there was no such thing really as replica titles. There was those styrofoam plastic little toys.
Yeah, not anymore, man. You can get the real thing now.
Yeah, if you got
They're
the money.
expensive.
They are expensive.
Yeah.
They are expensive.
All right, Wade, there you go, my friend. Another one officially hooked up and dialed in.
All right, this one is Corey Walker in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Hello, ladies. In silver.
Oh, in silver.
The big Valboski, Val Venis.
In silver.
Vicky, if you don't mind stepping in for me for just 1 or 2 minutes, I'm going to be right back. Vicky's going to take over for just a minute or two.
All
Stick
right.
around, guys. 80swrestlingcon.com.
Oh, yeah.
And here it is,
Here
Vicious
it comes.
Vicky.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Back again.
Hello, Vicky.
Yes! He gets it. He gets it. Or maybe I get it. We'll never know. Oh, I have my audio on. I apologize. So, we having a good time?
We are having a good time.
I'm having a
Yes,
good time
we are.
listening to all your stories and reliving the past. It's pretty cool.
Right?
It's always fun to get the ins and the outs of the business, especially
It
when you
is.
work in it.
I agree. 100%. All right, this is for Corey. Corey, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
I love it. I love it. We've been hearing that all night long. I'm going to be saying
All
that
night
in my
long.
sleep tonight, so thank you. It's going to
You're
happen.
more than welcome.
This one is to the big Brybowski.
Brybowski.
And then 2-time IC champ on it.
You bet.
Brybowski, whichever.
It's all spelled the
I'm
same
known
way.
to butcher names, so that's okay. That's what I'm here for.
All right, to the big Brybowski.
I apologize if this question was asked. I am not sure. But how was his experience training under the missing link? Was that asked?
Yeah, no, I was. I answered that question earlier, but it was fun, man. It was his son that taught me the technical aspects of pro wrestling. It was Dewey Robertson that really kind of brought out the character side of pro wrestling and the storyline side of pro wrestling.
Yeah, so see, we answered that question twice now. So again, 80swrestlingcon.com. You can see that in a few days. I also believe that on Facebook Live, when the feed ends, it is available for immediate viewing pleasure. So by all means, guys, share that link.
All right, Brybowski, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
See, he knows what he's doing. I can't pronounce names 9 out of 10 times. So this one is to, God, I'm totally butchering this one as well. I'm very much apologize. Taigi signed the big Valboski Val Venis.
You bet. He wants it in silver?
That's right.
Silver it is. We take the silver pen and remove the cap and we proceed to scribble.
A natural entertainer, guys. Say we can do it all.
Right?
We can do it all.
All
Give
right.
him a quick minute.
Let's go to this side here.
I almost want to say the end line here.
The end line.
The end line officially hooked up and dialed in. Like I'm ready to start saying that.
Heck yeah.
I'm gonna start using that.
Right? Heck yeah.
I'll give you credit.
All right. I hope we do get this name right. I think is it Taigi?
Taigi.
Taigi. Sorry if I butchered the name, my friend. But you are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
And that's all that matters. So
That's
here
just
we
it.
are. Here we are. The next one is to my biggest fan, Ariel, in blue.
In blue. You betcha. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna leave this chair. Turn it back over to my good friend Ryan.
I like this side
It
out.
was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pleasure, Vicky.
But
Like-
don't forget your
Oh, yes, I need
your
that.
connection
My
right there.
connection to the world.
Thank you, Vicky, for
Yeah.
stepping in when it counts. Of course, Vicky can be seen on the pre-show each and every week. 80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in for Val Venis. You know, we love doing these signings each and every week, but Val's been very engaging, telling us lots of great stories. So a lot of the questions that are coming in, some of this stuff has been covered already. To my buddy Raymond Murray, we talked earlier in the night about training under the missing link.
All right, Ariel, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
All right. Moving along, we got Tyler. That actually looks like Tyler Marr, but it's either Tyler Marr or Tyler Manor in Tennessee, but he wants black, just signature, WWF IC champion.
You bet. All right.
Adam Pop, thanks. That is great. Corey Walker, thanks, Val. John the Hammer Hamid, another buddy of mine, joining in the chat. You just got your Rikishi photo. I saw you posted it a couple of days ago. 80swrestlingcon.com for all the past signings, all the future ones coming up. We'll be back on July 26th with Dean Malenko.
All right, Tyler, there you go, brother. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. It looks like this one's going to Tennessee, which just so happens to be where Kane is a mayor. What is it, Knoxville?
Knox County.
Knox County, yeah.
And it's funny that you say that the political conversations that took place, the people that held your same interests as passionately were Al Snow and Kane. So now maybe Al Snow will be governor of Kentucky.
Well, I will say this about Al Snow. Kane was more of the serious debater. He was the guy that wanted to not just debate an issue, but to actually go through the baby steps of breaking those issues down, analyzing the different elements, and then putting those issues back together.
And did you disagree a lot? Did you guys?
I think at first there were certain things we disagreed about, but it was one of those things where I introduced Kane to the libertarian side of things. So he picked up very quickly the libertarian platform.
Gotcha.
And he understood it because he went through that critical thinking process of taking an issue and not letting feelings and emotions dictate what his position is on that issue. Instead, he would dissect that issue into its elements, go through the critical thinking process of analyzing those elements, and then putting that back together in a logical way that will give you whatever position you feel you need to take on that issue. It helps you understand what the moral and ethical position of that issue is to take.
But why can't more people do that today?
Why was critical thinking? It's critical thinking.
Even smart people, somewhere along the lines, they'll start breaking it down, but the emotion will get in.
The emotions, that's just it. I think the public education system has indoctrinated humans in general to base their positions on feelings and emotions and not teaching them how to take an issue and don't just knee-jerk reaction, base a position on that particular issue on your feelings and how it makes you feel. What they're not doing is they're not taking that issue and dissecting it into all of its elements, analyzing all the different elements, understanding what all those elements are and what they mean, and then reconstructing it in a logical way where you can come to a logical conclusion that this position is the proper position. This is the moral and ethical position. This is the position that all of humanity should be taking. But that requires going through that critical thinking process of dissecting an issue down into its elements, and people don't do that today. Schools teach children what to think. They don't teach children how to think. And so that's a big problem. That's why we should never have let government take over the responsibility to educate American children.
There you go.
You know, it should never have happened. But public schooling's in our society now, and it is the main way people get educated. And it's not just public education anymore, because a lot of these charter schools and private schools, they get licensed to operate, but they can have their license pulled if they're not teaching the government curriculum. And that's just so wrong on so many different levels. And it's teacher unions that allow that to happen.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we're seeing so much more homeschooling nowadays, especially after what went on with the pandemic. I think a lot of people aren't going back into that system.
Yeah. And hopefully that trend will continue, because, man, these kids coming out of these schools today, it's one of those things where, even I see it in my daughters sometimes as well. They come out of school where I've been teaching them, hey, on this issue, here are the elements. Look at these elements and tell me I'm wrong on this issue. And I make them look at those elements, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, I can see why that would be right. But they still rely on their feelings as to how they feel about an issue, and that's being taught in the schools.
Okay.
And they go to a private school, but it's government curriculum even in that private school.
Follow the money, right?
Yeah.
Tom Jerner in Nevada, black just signature in WWF 1999.
All right. WWF 1999.
Jonathan Jacobs says, met Kane, in parentheses, Jacobs, last year at a Republican rally. Pretty cool guy. Yeah, Kane seems like a very intelligent and laid-back individual.
Very much so. Very much so. He's
And Al Snow, I could just see debating for the sake of debating because he just loves to debate.
Oh, he would play devil's advocate and intentionally get me angry. And it was fun. We had a lot of fun. All right, Tom, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in. That one's going to Nevada.
This one's for Jim Hankins here in New Jersey. Silver, hello,
Silver.
ladies.
All right, let's get him a silver here.
80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. We're going to be here with Val Venis for about another 45 minutes. I believe the store's open for another 15 minutes, so get those orders in. It's not too late to share out the link with everybody on your Facebook feed. Might have some wrestling fans from back in the day, and that's always the thing that I'd say about the Attitude Era. Being a kid who grew up in the Golden Era, becoming a fan of wrestling.
Jim, you are now officially hooked up and dialed in, my friend.
There wasn't anybody during that time period of the late 90s to where I graduated high school in 2001, everybody was watching wrestling. Didn't matter if it was a guy, a girl, a jock, a nerd. Everybody was watching either WWE Monday Night Raw or WCW Monday Nitro, and in some cases, flipping back and forth.
Flipping back and forth.
So
yep.
it was a time of a lot of mainstream attention, but not just for Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. Every guy on that roster had a part of the show.
Yeah, everybody
And
had a story.
It was
Great.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great.
Next up, Amanda Horsley in Fairfield, Ohio, but it's to Benjamin. Hello, ladies.
All right.
In black.
In black, you betcha. To Benjamin.
Adam Pop says, boom, Val hitting the nail on the head. People can disagree, but let's not let emotions get in the way. Well, good luck with that, Adam. That's just the world we live in.
That's the
my friend.
world we live in now, man. Yeah. That's the world we live in.
Jonathan Jacobs says, got my monkey pass me the doobie pick today from Sabo.
There you go.
Absolutely love it.
There you go, Benjamin. You, my friend, are now, well, I guess it's from Amanda to Benjamin is what this is. So, Amanda, there you go. Got this hooked up and dialed in for you.
Last week we had the head shrinkers, Rikishi, Fatu, and Samu, and there was a great 8x10 of Samu wearing a leather jacket and sunglasses, and he was holding a chimpanzee. And he proceeded
dope.
to tell us a story about the chimpanzee passing him a doobie, which then
Nice.
inspired some people to have that photo autographed that way.
Dope.
So,
Dope. Very
was,
good.
It
Very
was a
good.
lot of fun. Next up, we got Priscilla Flores in San Jose, California.
Silver?
But it's silver to Samuel. You've been hit with the money shot.
You've been hit with the money shot. You
There you go.
bet. To Samuel.
80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. You still have about another 12 minutes for the store to be open. We are here with Val Venis. We're going to return on July 26th with Dean Malenko. So many great signings coming up in August. We have Mark Merrow. We have The Godfather, a good friend of Val Venis, former tag team partner. We also have Virtual Mania 2 with the likes of the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher, as well as D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, Billy Gunn, and so many more. Emil Menard, have you ever seen Al Snow debate with Head? If so, who won?
That would be interesting, that's for sure.
There you go.
All right, my friend, this is from Priscilla, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is from Priscilla in San Jose, California. Priscilla, you are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Teresa Dupek, but it's to Joe in black. Hello,
In
ladies.
black, you bet. To Joe.
Excuse me, Mr. Ian Levy. May I have the power source, please, sir? 80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in for Val Venis. This has been a very educating 2.5 hours. Lots of memories popping up.
There you go, Joe. Oh, wait a minute. This one's Teresa.
It's to
She's
Joe,
getting
though.
it. Yeah,
Yep.
to Joe, yeah. So, Teresa, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
there you go. I believe we're going to be moving on to some memorabilia in just a little bit, but you can still get those photos at 80swrestlingcon.com. Thank you, Ian Levy.
Have you guys seen that new Samsung Fold? The Samsung Fold 2? Well, that was last year's phone. Now they're coming out with Samsung Fold 3. Dude, you guys got to check those phones out.
I heard the cameras are ridiculous.
Oh, dude, the whole thing, like it's like that, but I think it's a little bit bigger than that. But you take it, and you can use it as a phone, or you can open it up, and it turns into a perfect tablet.
Oh, wow.
And it's, I mean, it works. You would think something like that would be, okay, foldable screens. How well is that going to work?
Yeah.
So I heard the Samsung Fold 3 coming out in August is way better than the Samsung Fold 2. And I saw that Samsung Fold 2, and I'm going, how do you get better than this?
Yeah.
It was so freaking good. And so I'm looking forward to that Samsung Fold 3
Technology
coming
just
out.
keeps moving so fast, I can't keep up. You know, and I laugh when I see the memes about you just said, "How's it get better than this?" We used to say the same thing about Nintendo 64 playing GoldenEye.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now you see the pictures of that, and you go, "Oh my God, why did I even play that?" You know?
Some of those war games now, the graphics on them, it's too realistic for me now. It's like, okay, now that's getting out of the realm to where you knew it was a video game, and now you're questioning if it's a video game.
Exactly.
That's where I draw the line, man. I want to know the stuff I'm doing is not real.
Justin Barley, Blue, hello ladies, 2-time Intercontinental Champion.
For Blue, all right.
80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in.
All right, and that one's for Justin. Justin, brother, there you go, my friend. You are hooked up and dialed in.
Now we're getting to my favorite part of the evening. It's where people send in their personal memorabilia to be signed by the talent. This is for George Lopez, not the comedian, I don't think, but George Lopez in Staten Island, New York. Val Venis, hello ladies, in red paint Sharpie.
Red paint Sharpie, all right. I guess he's talking about this one, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Pretty good.
Yeah, this is the stuff that we're always extra cautious with because there's no do-overs.
There's no do-overs.
On the personal memorabilia that's shipped in. Also, if you go to 80swrestlingcon.com, you can find out how you can ship us your memorabilia for future signings. So be sure to check that out. Priscilla Martinez says, "Thank you so much. My brother Samuel would do your entrance as a little kid when we watched wrestling, towel and all. And I don't think there was a frat boy in the United States of America who didn't do the Val Venis entrance.
Right?
at some
Oh, yeah.
point."
That was going around everywhere. And this is for who? This is for George?
George Lopez.
George Lopez. There you go, my friend. And I must say, this is a dope poster right here. This is good quality. There you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
All right, next up we have a WWF SmackDown trading card. Luke Glover, he just wants black. Hello, ladies.
You bet. All right.
Not too late to share the information that we are providing you with. Your friends on Facebook, share this link. We are here with Val Venis. Still going, store still open.
All right. There you go, my friend. Who's that for? That's for Luke. Luke, you are now officially hooked up and dialed in, brother. All right.
All right, now we have an interesting one. This is John Jacobs in Lewisburg, Tennessee. He wants blue.
Wants blue.
Don't get in FB jail. I guess that's Facebook jail.
Facebook jail, yeah.
But
I get in Facebook jail quite a bit.
Bless you, Vicky. He doesn't want that on the picture. That was his side note. So he says, don't get in Facebook jail, but Trump won the Big Valvoski in blue. So there you go.
Trump one, all right.
There you have it. Hey, if you want something put on these pictures, we do make that available to you, the fan. 80swrestlingcon.com. I must say, though, for the most part, the fans that I've come across since hosting these have been pretty tame with what they want, which is a nice thing. There hasn't been really anybody that's been too wild. So,
Yes.
Although I don't see all the requests that come through. Tommy might filter certain ones out, so I'm not fully aware. And so now I'm just going to show this to the camera. We have a custom painting, and Nicholas De Silva sent this in. Jason Schneider is the artist. He's done several of these pieces. I think last week we had one for Rikishi as well. This is always awesome when people send these in. So it's from Nicholas Silva. The artist is Jason Schneider.
All right, John, there you go, brother. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
All right, so this
Oh,
is
wow.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. And this has to be something that you find pretty touching, I would imagine. when
Yeah,
people take the
man,
time to do
that's dope. I'm digging that. And who made that?
it. So the artist was Jason Schneider, but it's
all
for.
Jason. It's all Jason.
Oh, it's not for Nicholas. Okay. I don't know. It happens. So I stand corrected. Jason Schneider is the artist,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's also for him, but he wants just the signature in black.
Okay.
So Jason Schneider's signature is up here, so I guess somewhere around there in black, but
Yeah,
very nice
that's-
piece by Jason.
That is very cool. So should I do it like down here, or should I do it like up here off
I don't know if Ian, if you have an input on that, maybe where would be best. It needs to be black. I know that.
Oh yeah, we gotta put black on.
And where do you think that would be best on that piece?
I would say maybe right down.
Right down across there. Yeah, you betcha. So just hello, ladies, and Val
No,
Venis.
just your signature.
Just a signature. All right.
'80swrestlingcon.com. Still get those last minute orders in if you wish.
There you go, Jason. Great work, man. That is awesome. Thank you very, very much. And you are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
In just a few moments, we're going to be moving on to our live auction portion of the evening. So we're going to be having a Raw magazine, as well as a WWE 2001 calendar, a 2008 live event program, a 2007 live event program, and a WWF magazine. All of the bids tonight are going to be start off at $50. So we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But right now we have sent in by a fan. I have this magazine at home myself. This is from Nicholas De Silva. It is Val Venis with a couple lovely ladies, 4 to be exact, holding a platter of hot dogs.
Holding a platter of hot dogs. Yep.
It's like, how over the top can we go with these innuendos?
Right?
Nicholas De Silva. So, how long did these photo shoots for these magazine covers and whatnot last? Was it an all-day affair?
No, we had that one done probably about an hour.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I went in there, got dressed into my towel and my little bow tie. They already had the plate of hot dogs. All I had to do was pick up the hot dogs, stand in between four women, and take pictures.
There you go.
Pretty safe to say that was probably the safest part of my job.
And the most rewarding. in
And the
many
most
ways.
rewarding,
There
and the
you go.
most rewarding.
But he wants it in white, the Big Valboski, Val Venis.
Do we even have
Hello,
white here?
ladies. Do we have white here?
Anybody got a white?
And do we have a
marker?
white, buddy?
We need a white.
All right, so
So
we're gonna.
there's that magazine. That's a famous cover right there. I get that
Indeed.
one a lot.
On that. Well, let's make sure it's.
Pretty dope cover.
Now we're moving on to the action figures while they're getting white. This is for
All right.
Nate Williams in Flint, Michigan. Of course, the classic Superstars Val Venis action figure. And the more you play with it, the harder it gets.
Oh, he wants that old promo on there.
There you go.
All right.
On the action figure, no
He
less.
wants it in green.
Creepy.
All right. So this one we're not signing to anymore. We're just putting that quote on it, right?
Yeah, I believe the quote and probably your signature.
Yep. All right.
When you're done.
Oh yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
'80swrestlingcon.com. Get those last minute orders in. I believe you have about another minute left. All signing that first action figure in the money green. Share that link out. Still some time for people to notice what we're doing here. Share it out.
All right, my friend, that's to Nate. Nate, there you go, brother. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
I'm seeing some comments in the chat. If you guys want to email at 80s Wrestling, I'm seeing everything in the chat, but I'm just sitting here with Val. So if you have an issue to address, feel free to email the 80s Wrestling page. All right, now we have the white marker for that classic WWF magazine cover.
Let's go.
Going to be moving on to the auction in just a little bit. Wow, that white was worth the wait. Definitely makes it pop.
Yes, it does. There we go. We fit that on there.
All right.
And that's for Nicholas. Nicholas, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in, brother.
All right, we have another figure. This one from Sean McBride, the classic Superstars series. Green, just signature for that one.
You bet. For Sean McBride, there you go, my friend. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, we got Sean Kalana in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Blue. To Sean,
gotcha.
Hello Ladies, WWF IC Champion. Lots of questions and comments coming in about stuff that we talked about earlier. Go to 80swrestlingcon.com in the coming days. You'll see the full 3-hour signing in its entirety, as well as all the previous signings that we've done for these Monday Night Virtuals. Also, check out the list of everything we have coming up.
All right, Sean, there you go, my friend. And you as well are now officially hooked up and dialed in.
Next up, Justin Frazier with the silver Sharpie Hello Ladies. It looks like this is a WrestleMania 15 postcard.
All right.
So that's pretty cool to see. So that is a silver Sharpie Hello Ladies.
All right.
Just going to get through these next two autographs, and then I think we're going to move on to the first item in our auction.
All right, Justin, there you go, my friend. Hooked up and dialed in. See, it's catchy, right? Y'all catching on now.
Next up, Chris Cooper in Pennsylvania, Black to Coupe.
All right.
Black to Coupe.
To Coop.
While you're doing the encyclopedias, I'll start the auction, you thinking? This way you can just gather them all right there. After I finish these ones. Kyle James, that Intercontinental belt is so beautiful. One of the best belts ever made. Agreed. We talked at length about that. How when people think of the Intercontinental title, they automatically think of that design.
There you go, Coop. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in, courtesy of yours truly, the big Val Venis.
All right. Silver in the right corner. There you are on the cover of the WWF Raw magazine. It is from June of 1999. Justin Frazier. Silver, top right corner, just signature.
You bet. All right, Justin. There you go, my friend. Hooked up and Dialed in.
There you go. Next up, we got in the UK, Alan Sambrook with a WWF turnbuckle.
Oh, wow, that's
Attitude
a blast
Era
from the past.
scratch logo. He wants it signed Val Venis. Hello, ladies. 2-time Intercontinental Champ, 1-time European Champ, 1-time Tag Team Champ. He wants all the accolades there.
Yeah, you bet.
Alan Sambrook, UK, and I believe that would be silver, right?
And am I signing it to him or just signing it with us?
It says signed Val Venis, so I would just do what it says on there, I guess. So
All right, just do this. All right.
yeah.
Sounds good.
We could always add it.
Yes. And it's silver, right?
It does not say, but I think the silver would pop
Silver would
on
probably
yeah.
do the best on you. Or you think that white paint pen?
Guys, silver or white paint pen for the turnbuckle? What do you think?
Silver.
Okay, silver.
Silver? All right.
80swrestlingcon.com. Check out everything coming up in the coming weeks and months. We will be back in just a few weeks with Dean Malenko. Don't forget the great month of August we have lined up. 80swrestlingcon.com.
It's just a signature now.
On the front or back?
In the
Oh, in the spot. Okay.
It's good. Oh no, I hit the wire.
And then, of course, the next thing we'll be moving on to is this WWF souvenir program, ECW Raw and SmackDown. So I would say this is probably around 2008 or so. This is where we have a bald Val Venis.
A bald Val Venis, yes.
Now, as a fellow bald guy, I feel I could safely ask this. Was it something you had to adjust to? Or did you just embrace it and go, this is how it is now?
No, it was something I wanted to do since I started working in WWE.
Really?
Yes.
So you wanted to get rid of the hair yourself?
Yeah. Vince wanted me to keep the long hair, and at that point in time, I've been wrestling full time for about 11 years.
Okay.
And on many occasions, I'd be sucking wind in the middle of that ring, and for example, I'd hit somebody with a clothesline coming hard off the ropes, and it just so happened that my hair would swing around after being sweated all up on the mat and all the dirt and grime, and it would swing around after I hit that clothesline just as I was inhaling.
Oh.
And it would get sucked right down my throat. I mean, I literally stopped live on Raw a couple of times, stopped in the middle of the ring, reached and pulled my hair, and the grossest thing ever is I could feel it pulling out. It was so gross.
Yeah.
It was so. I was like, man, I got to get rid of this hair. It's just not jiving with me anymore, man.
Human hairballs, not
Oh, it was terrible. So after about 6 months of every week going into Vince's office at the arena saying, Vince, can I please cut this? At least take it down to a buzz cut or something. No, you need that hair. And I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And then after about 6 months, he looks at it and he goes, let's give it a shot. He
There
just
you
changes
go.
his mind on the fly, right?
And I bet you were very thankful for that
Yes. He didn't want me to shave it, though. He wanted me just to cut it short.
Yeah.
And so that was the first step. And then every week, I just kind of clipped it a little shorter.
Well,
a
I
little
started
shorter,
doing it-
and they didn't notice.
as well. Yeah, I started doing it at age 16. I remember like people would say to me, your hair's so thick, you'll never go bald. Why are you shaving your head? And then I just kept it up. And then in my mid-20s, I regrew it. And as soon as it got to a point where I had to start combing it again, I said, this sucks.
It sucks.
So I started shaving it again, and now I'm at a point where if I wanted to grow it back, it ain't happening. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened. And I'm the only one in my family. If you look at, my grandfather, my uncle, nobody's bald. I don't know if I destroyed hair follicles or whatever, but what the hell?
Hey, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
No question. All right, we got 2-time IC champion, 1-time European champion, 1-time tag champion, and that was
Fantastic handwriting he has, by the way. I don't know if anybody picked up on that. Out of all the signings
Well,
you've
thank
done,
you.
you rank in the top 5, I would say, of handwriting.
Well, thank you, my friend. Much
Coco
appreciated.
Beware's up there, too.
All right, so this is, how do you pronounce that? Is that...
Alan
Alan.
Sambrook. Or Alan, yeah.
Yeah, Alan from the UK. There you go, my friend. You are now hooked up and dialed in.
All right, we have the WWF official souvenir program with the bald Val Venis right underneath Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
All right, and this is in any color, I guess black.
Let me see, just to double check.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter on this one.
All right, let's do a blue. I think a blue would look good on there. Clash with everything else on here.
All right.
And am I doing it to anyone?
No.
Or just
Nah,
some?
just the signature.
All right.
After this, you do the encyclopedias, and I'll
Do the
start.
encyclopedias and the one chair and the flag.
All right. So while that's going on, we have the encyclopedias that everybody has sent in over time to be signed by all of our
That's for
talent.
who?
Nobody.
Oh, okay.
Next up, Tyson Farish in Canada to Tyson in black. I think we are going to start. Are we? Are we going to start the auction? Or are we going to wait for?
Well, I'm going to do these things.
All right, the encyclopedias and chairs first. '80swrestlingcon.com. Now we have the chairs that are going to be sent out. They're actually, are those for the store, I believe, or those are for customers?
All right, Tyson, my friend, there you go, brother. You are now officially hooked up and dialed in, but it is going to Canada. And so, yeah, man, sorry for the taxation on top of taxation on top of taxation, but there you go, my friend. I do the best I can for you. Okay.
Yeah, but there's only so much we can do, and we're going to try our best for you. So there you have it.
Right.
Now,
Robert Williams chair and his encyclopedia.
All right, he just wants me to sign it?
Just a signature on this page.
Just a signature, you bet.
oh, you did? Sweet. Cool. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you very much.
There you go, my friend.
All right, next up we got some of the WWE encyclopedias being signed by Val. Thank you to everybody who's entrusted us with their merchandise since we started
Right
these
to
signings.
censor.
Val signing. This is from the Right to Censor.
Presto.
There you go. And of course, the regular
we
Big
go.
Valboski photo. 2-for-1 deal right there. Now, guys, before we start this auction in just a little bit, we want to remind you that there is a little bit of a delay. We're live on Facebook. So every item that we're giving away tonight is going to be a $50, I'm sorry, Ian. Oh, okay. Is going to be a $50 starting bid. You can start at 50, you can go higher, but don't get upset with us if you get lost in translation on that delay. We're going to do the best we can to make sure we get to everybody. Ian's going to keep going with that encyclopedia, though.
Dennis S. from Newton, New Jersey. You got yours. You got one of yours.
There we go, right to censor.
He's got a clock for me, so yeah, we're going to do
There
it
you
that way.
go.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
And up there, you bet.
What's that? Okay. Oh. When I get told.
Now this one is Carter Cole.
Carter Cole. All right, let's sign Carter Cole's stuff right here. We got RVD in there, Road Dogg, Jesse James, Rikishi.
That's a party right there.
right. All right.
The 80swrestlingcon.com. Check out the list of all the upcoming signings we have.
There we go.
There.
We're going to be with Val Venis for about another 15 minutes or so. We have the auction coming up in just a bit.
And we have a famous flag.
Of course, the WWF flag.
Silver Sharpie, you bet.
Hold that up. Got a bunch of names on that. Oh, look at that.
All right.
So,
Alrighty.
Yeah, let's throw it right in there. Stretch it out real nice.
There you go. Getting the WWF flag signed by Val Venis, 80swrestlingcon.com. Find out how you can send your memorabilia in to be signed by all of our talent.
Presto.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
that's it.
That is it for the mail-in merchandise today. And now we're going to get to one of the favorite parts for some.
Oh, heck.
Oh, boy.
It's time to amp
boy.
up the show.
Yes, it is.
You want to fight me? You're my number one foe. My winning streak, it's about to grow. Another win on my record means more dough.
Hey.
I'll look you in the eyes and tell you let's go. Eye to eye and toe to toe. We can stand and fight it, we can take it low. I can take it to the mat and and I can put on a show. Highly skilled and I'm in the know. Ho.
I thought we had to
You
wait.
want to mess
Okay.
with me? I'm the #1 player in this industry. You want to mess with me? I'll tie you up in a pretzel and make you tap to me. You want to mess with me? I'll hit the money shot and get the 1, 2, 3. You want to mess with me? You'll remember me. The name Val Boski.
There you go. I thought we were going to have to wait till Men on a Mission to get a freestyle rap.
Bo has nothing to him.
No, and Oscar, ladies and gentlemen. I think we need the Val Venis
that?
Oscar rap battle. Tommy Fierro, book it.
Yeah, for sure.
80swrestlingcon.com.
Just PayPal. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start the auction. Are we ready for that?
Yeah.
All right. First item, do we have the Raw... oh, they're behind?
Behind you, sir.
All righty. Oh, so it was this. There we go. The Raw magazine from June of 1999. Someone actually sent their own in to be signed. Val Venis is in the top cover. Let's start that clock at 3 minutes.
You're going to see the delay,
Oh,
How long is the delay?
about 25 seconds.
maybe we should just go back
25
old
second
school
delay.
with Vicky. So let's
We'll
start it.
count out now. Do you see it?
No, not yet.
Oh, I got it here.
It's easy here. All right, so there, count that in for the delay. And we're on the clock, 3 minutes. WWF Raw Magazine from June of 1999. Now, Val, you probably know a lot more about this than I do. From my understanding, the Raw Magazine was made to be the counterpart to the WWF Magazine. So the WWF Magazine, from my understanding, was geared more towards children and family friendly. And then, of course, you had the Raw Magazine with stuff like this for that teenage demographic and older.
Yes.
So who better than Val Venis to be a part of?
Oh, absolutely. The Raw magazine is a Val Boski type of magazine right there.
There you go.
Absolutely. Now you might have the WWE magazine that would be more of a John Cena,
There you go. There you go.
right? You can say that, right?
So June 1999, Emil Menard, our reigning champion, came in with an opening bid of $50. If someone can beat Emil and show us 55 or 60, we're not using the countdown on the screen. I'm going back old school with Vicious Vicky. We got 2 minutes left in this auction. $50 is the bid to beat. Emil Menard holds it right now. This is the June 1999 magazine, a very pivotal moment because it shows the entire Attitude Era on the cover with the question, get it. That was the marketing promo at the time. So we see Triple H mooning somebody, Sable topless with the hands, Val Venis, of course, and of course the controversial Undertaker crucifying Steve Austin.
Yeah, that was controversial, wasn't it?
When you were backstage watching that, did you go, oh boy, we're going to hear about this one? Like, were there certain moments that you remember hanging in the back and seeing it and go, uh-oh?
65.
Rich Lopez came in at 55, Emil Menard came in at 60, and then Lopez came back at 65. So 65 with 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Emil Menard at 70. Is anyone going to take Emil out? $70. Got 55 seconds remaining. Still getting some last minute orders for photos as well. Emil Menard holding strong at 70 with about 35 seconds left. Dustin Rodkey says, wow, Val is freestyling. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one either. That was a pleasant little surprise. Pleasant little present, if you will. Emil Menard holding strong at 70, 20 seconds left. If someone wants to beat Emil, we need to see 75 for this June 1999 WWF Raw magazine. It will be signed by Val Venis. Got about 10 seconds left in this auction. Emil Menard holding strong at $70. Can we see 75? And we are sold to Emil Menard at 70.
Yay, Emil Lamar. No, Menard?
Menard.
Menard.
Right now we got a picture
Yay!
for Jumpin' Jay in green. To Jumpin' Jay when you have a chance. That one is in green.
All right. Let's
All
get
right.
Jumpin' Jay taken care of here, shall we? And get him a green paint pen.
All right, next up we have a 16-month WWF calendar from 2001. On the cover we got Triple H, Kane, The Rock, Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, and the late China. Val Venis is featured. We starting the clock. We're gonna $50 is what we're looking for an opening bid. Mr. February, Val Venis. There you go.
I'm trying to remember which one it is now.
What happened?
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah, no, do your
I'll
thing,
come
my
right
friend.
back.
Hey, 3 minutes is what we have.
3 minutes.
Hey, 3-minute warning. There you go.
In the morning. Gotta look over my
$50.
shoulder when you say that.
$50 opening bid. Can we see it? $50 for this 2001 16-month calendar. Val Venis was Mr. February. We can get him to sign Mr. February for you. We can get you to sign it on the cover. We just need an opening bid of $50. Anybody? Nothing yet. 80swrestlingcon.com. Get those orders in. WWF calendar, 16-month calendar from 2001.
Where do I see it here? Oh, yeah. I remember it. I'm so used to sending the QR code now.
Looking for an opening bid of $50 for this 2001 16-month WWF calendar. Val Venis is in it as Mr. February. Can I see an opening bid of $50? We got about 1 minute and 15 seconds left.
And then .com.
There's actually two for Jumpin' Jay. That one's in green and this one's in blue.
Oh, we got 2 for
Yeah, he likes variety.
Now,
that Jumpin' Jay.
is it Jumpin' Jay that got this?
No, that's Emil Menard, but I don't think he wants that personalized. That'll
Okay,
be just.
yeah.
What I do is after the auction ends, I just put the item there, so I can even move this out
Oh,
of the
okay,
way.
okay, gotcha.
Because these need to be signed for the auction. And if they do not get purchased at the auction, they will be available at the Wrestling Collector's store. We got about 30 seconds left on this WWF calendar, waiting to see if anyone jumps. David Kekin says, Bill Nyerges, I love virtual signings. Thank you, David. Thank you for supporting them. This has been a great way to be able to interact with wrestling fans, especially during what we went through with the pandemic. And it looks like it's here to stay.
And this one's in blue
Yes, sir.
for Jumpin' Jay.
All right. If you want the calendar, go to the Wrestling Collector's Superstore. That one is not going to anybody. All right. What do we have next? It looks like next up we have the famous WWF magazine, the Hello Ladies, November 1998. Val Venis serves it up to the girls at Scores. What a great establishment Scores was in its prime. So this is probably the most famous of the Val Venis magazine covers. We're looking for an opening bid of $50.
And in the meantime, Jumpin' Jay, you are now twice been hooked up and dialed in.
There you go. So can we get somebody to place a bid on this? This was at Scores, the hot dogs. Did you eat one of the hot dogs afterwards or no?
Can't say I don't even think they were cooked.
Okay, probably not. New York City Dirty Water Dogs at Scores. There you go.
Yeah, you know, I walked in that place, and first time I ever heard of Scores, and but apparently it's a fairly popular place in New York City.
Yep.
And we walked in there in the daytime. That's when we were doing these shots, and we did some video there as well. And I was hearing the manager that was kind of leading us around was telling us a story of when what's that actor's name, the karate guy, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
Apparently got his ass kicked by his own security guard
Okay.
in that establishment called Scores.
Yeah, you would always hear Score stories on the Howard Stern show. Howard Stern kind of brought them to the attention.
Okay. That would make sense. Howard Stern and Scores. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
There
That
you
makes
go.
perfect sense.
Rich Lopez says, you guys are the best. Thank you, Rich, for supporting us. We're having a lot of fun tonight. But right now, we're in the middle of the live auction. We're looking for an opening bid of $50. Emil Menard won the Raw magazine. Does Emil Menard want the WWF magazine with Val Venis on the cover? And Emil Menard, speak of the devil, just came in with a $50 bid, so he has a shot at going home with both magazines.
$50 bids on this right now. So what are we looking for now? Like 60?
Yeah, 55, 60. I believe Emil won the last magazine for what, 70?
70.
So let's see if Emil's willing to spend a little bit of money tonight. He usually is. So
Wish I could do those auction voices. You know, Emil's got 50, we need
Yeah.
55. Anybody got 55? I don't know how to do that.
I could try, but then I get winded.
Come on, give it a whirl.
Nah.
They want to see
What
you
the problem
give it a
is
shot.
that you need multiple bids to do it. So it'd be like, Emil's at 50. Can we get somebody at 55, 60? And nobody comes in, so it just seems like
It's like, did you not just hear a glimpse of
yeah.
tremendous skill there?
Oh, I could do it. I'm a professional. I
Oh,
mean,
there you go. That's what I like.
But I need an audience, you know what I mean? So I mean, if we want to start getting a little bidding war going, then we can do it. It's kind of silly to just not do it, you know? But
that is true. That is
Emil
true.
Menard at 50 with about 30 seconds left.
Is anybody going to beat out Amelia Menard?
At this point,
50?
here's what I think happened, and this is just strictly my opinion. I could be wrong. I think people know that Emil is so good at this that they're like, you know what? I don't even want to drive it up on the guy anymore because he's had some wars in the past.
Oh, he has?
He has, and he
He's
usually
a warrior,
comes out on top.
huh?
I've only seen him lose once.
Ah, there you go.
10 seconds left. Emil Menard at 50. Who wants to knock Emil down a few pegs? You got 5 seconds left to place a bid. And it is sold to Emil Menard, $50. So he's got the Raw magazine for 70, and he's got the WWF Hello Ladies Hot Dog magazine for 50.
Beautiful.
Next up, we have the 2007 WWF Souvenir Program. $50 is what we're looking for the opening bid. Vicious Vicky, please start the clock. It looks like this is probably going to take us right to the end. Well, there's two of them. We got two, so maybe we'll do 2 minutes each for this one since it's 9:56. Or do you want to go over? 80swrestlingcon.com. We had a lot of fun tonight. This is probably the most engaging of all of our signings yet. Val Venis left no stone unturned. Any
Oh,
questions?
no, I left stones unturned.
Well,
Believe that. I left lots of stones unturned.
You did, but at the same token, there was nothing that was asked that you ran away from. Let's put it that way.
Right.
80swrestlingcon.com. Check out the list of all the great upcoming signings. We're looking for an opening bid of 50 on this 2007 WWF program. If we don't get it, we're going to go into the 2008 program. So far, the magazine, both magazines, the Raw magazine and the WWF magazine, have been sold to Emil Menard. The Raw magazine for 70, the WWF magazine for 50. We're looking for an opening bid of 50 on the 2007 WWF program. Justin Frazier says, fun signing. Val was awesome. Thank you, Justin. Dennis Grinnell Jr., our buddy from South Dakota. Thank you, Val Venis. Another great virtual signing.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for joining us here tonight.
All right. It looks like this is going to be going to the Wrestling Collector, the 2007 official souvenir program. We're going to try right now to sell the 2008 official souvenir program. Say that 10 times fast. Looking for an opening bid of $50. If this doesn't get sold, it'll be at the Wrestling Collector for you to purchase. Looking for that opening bid of $50. Is there anything that you have coming up that you'd like to plug before we take it home tonight?
Yeah, I'll be out in Chicago on July 9th, I believe it is. And so I'll be out in the Chicago and Wisconsin area for that weekend. October, I still don't know the dates yet. I can't remember the dates, but I know I have two events coming up here in the Northeast, I believe it is, in the middle of October. Other than that, I got nothing else booked. I just don't have time to take bookings.
Yeah, you're busy with other businesses, and people can learn about those other businesses at Val Venis ENT on Instagram.
On Instagram, it's at Val Venis ENT, which is just short for entertainment.
Yeah, not ear, nose, and throat.
Yeah, not your nose and throat. And then you can also follow me on Odyssey. If you go to Odyssey, it's on the Library blockchain. It's a brand new video platform. Well, it's a couple years old now, but it's still considered new on the blockchain. But it's on the Library blockchain. It's called Odyssey.com. Go check it out. Follow me there. The channel is Top Shelf Anarchy. Check it out.
All right.
You can learn a lot there.
And you'll make the decision about Facebook if and when your 30-day
Yeah, I don't
stint
know whether
runs
I'm
out?
going to stay on Facebook. I probably will end up staying on Facebook while the majority of the people are still over there, but I'm not going to be making that my main posting platform. Whatever I post on Gab or on Library, I'll just kind of copy and share it on Facebook as well. constantly with the links to my Gab and Library channel and my Instagram channel.
There you go. Well, we're still looking for a $50 opening bid. There's 1 minute left. $50 is what we're looking for the 2008 official WWE souvenir program. The 2007 one is going to be available at the Wrestling Collector store. Val Venis will be signing it tonight for us anyway. But 80swrestlingcon.com, we will be back in just a couple of weeks with Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds. So make sure you come back for that. 40 seconds left. All you need to do is put $50 in the comments and you win this. 80swrestlingcon.com. Look at that opening bid.
That's a guy I wish I had have wrestled at least a few times, is Dean Malenko. I never got the opportunity to wrestle.
Those would have been some great matches. Again, he's one of those guys. Have you ever seen him have a bad match with anyone?
Never. He was phenomenal. When I was in WWE, he was doing other things, in other storylines. And then all of a sudden, he hung up the boots and became a producer.
Yeah.
And so I never got the opportunity to wrestle him.
All right, this 2008 official souvenir program is going to be available at the Wrestling Collector. My name is Ryan Moore. I have a lot of fun hosting each and every one of these. This man right here, you know him as the Big Valboski, Val Venis. Anything you'd like to say as we close this one out?
Yeah, be sure to follow me on Twitter, at Val Venis ENT. Same thing on Instagram. And I'll put up links to my Odyssey channel and my Gab channel on there as well, so you guys can go and start making your way from Web 2.0 over to the much less restrictive Web 3.0 on the blockchain. So eventually we'll see y'all there. And if you don't know what blockchain is right now, trust me, in a few more years, you'll know fully well what blockchain technology is.
Looks like I'm going to have a lot of homework to do myself. Give me a follow on Instagram at Ryan Moore Comedy. Follow at 80s Wrestling on Instagram. Follow at Val Venis ENT from Monday Night Virtual. And Vicious Vicky and everybody here at 80s Wrestling Con. Good night, guys. See you in a few weeks.
Bye-bye, ladies.